What's up, everybody? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You see the title, you see the thumbnail, you see what's going on here. We're going to be looking at some Black women statistics, something that we always do in this space a lot. We be examining statistics. Now, everybody be talking about statistics. They go to random channels where Black women are engaging in a lot of these conversations. Before men came on the internet talking about this stuff, it was all I feel. And then we brought stats and facts to the table. And then, so now they trying to talk stats and facts, and they do that now. But we the one, we started that. We started that. So we taking full credit for it. We put Black demographics on the map. But we're going to be deep diving into a lot of that. I got Hood Servative in the back. We're about to get this thing started. So let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Glad everybody could be here. Make sure you hit the like button when you come in. Make sure you subscribe, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. Shout out to the early bird squad, those of you that make it in bright and early before I even get things started. Do appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Rob Sawyer in the building. Shout out to you. Sun is hot, Ra, in the building. I like how I just typed in the building. I was going to say that anyway, but he already had it typed. Oh, shit. Okay. Kenyatta. Kenyatta in the basement. All right. Hood Servative in the buildings, acknowledging that CP time has been activated. Going to be bringing him up real soon. Dark Knight mentality in the building. Says BR always on CP time. Absolutely. I checked in at 10:38 a.m. That was when I checked in, so I had to make sure that was clear. Wasn't ready to start the show, but that's when I made it in. Watch Gamer Channel in the building says, "Yeah, I'll be on BR neck. Let the man finish his breakfast." My breakfast lately have been coffee. That's all I eat, drink, eat. Don't be eating no breakfast. I've been doing good with my diet. Get y'all health together. We've suffered a lot of losses. Lost Kevin Samuels. Lost David Carroll. MTR lost a testicle. So, we got to keep our health together. So, yeah, have coffee and water for breakfast. In a sensible lunch. But all right. Okay, let's get ready to Mike and Vince Perkins says, hopefully you get the correct numbers. I'm going to be sharing a video by him. He said he went and did some formal research. This isn't a response to the yesterday's stream. Well, maybe it is, because Hood Conservative floated out this idea and I love it. But so we're going to be just going through the women's statistics part of Black demographics. And so we're just going to be going through that. But something that happened on the last show that I had to take down because something happened where somebody's personal information was on the screen. So I had to take that down. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, he had cancer. He had testicular cancer. They had to remove a testicle. Yes, the man lost it. Yeah. He's yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Took a lot of balls to come on here and tell everybody that he only had one. Anyway, shout out to MTR. That's one of my favorite YouTubers. But no. As far as I know, we're not even going to be digging into that part. We're not going to be even digging into that part where Jada LaRue came on here, and at first she said 75% of Black men had kids, and then she pulled up the stats and did crunch the numbers herself, and then came up with 58% of Black men had kids. And so Mike and Vince Perkins, the reason I brought him up is because he said that he did some quick maths and he came up with a different number. So he's dropping a video at 12:30 that I will share. And he's saying that he got the numbers right on that one. So we're gonna see. It's still up for debate how many Black men are out here putting babies in women. So we shall see. But so I will be sharing Mike and Vince Perkins' video. But as to shout out to MTR again, without further ado, let's bring in the Hood Conservative. What is going on? What is up?
Hey, what up, man? You know, it's so funny that I think the health kick is just a quiet thing that's becoming real, especially if you're like around the manosphere. Like, I was so proud of myself yesterday. I got up, I was on the beach with the white folk. I think I jogged at least a half a mile, man. It was a good day, man. I'm almost at like an even 200 pounds, like 6'3", 200 pounds. I think I'm doing well.
Man, I'm not quite at 200 yet. I don't even know if I could get back to 200. Because I'm a stocky built dude. It's like I don't know. It's hard for me to get at 200. But
yeah, I'm like 215, 210. I don't even know if I want to do a full 200, but like it's hard going down there.
That 215, that's like when I'm at 215, my stomach is perfectly flat, like damn near got like, so I'm good.
I feel, yeah.
I'm good.
This health thing real.
I get to 215, I hit the beach with my shirt off proudly. That's all I like to 215 to get that 200 stuff. I wouldn't even 200. Shoot, my senior year in high school, at the best shape in my life, I was comfortably over 200 pounds. So I ain't fucking with that.
I passed 200 in middle school. I mean high school. Yeah. But by the time I was in like 9th or 10th grade, I was well past 200 pounds.
Yeah, I ain't messing with that below 200. But anyway, Black brothers, let's get our health together. I do got some coffee here, but I'm trying to put down at least 2 or 3 of these while we on the air. 2 or 3 waters while we on the air. Been drinking a lot of water. So yeah, let's definitely get our health together. It matters. I turn 40 next month. You already 40, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so yeah, we at that point, man. We can't be messing around. But all right, let's go. And oh shit, I was a 275 pound senior in high school. Okay, you played left tackle. Yeah. I mean, it's some 200, 300 pound 6'3" dudes who can play left tackle light on their feet and in shape, carrying 300 pounds around. I don't know how that worked, but when I start, man, if I get anywhere near 275, I ain't never been that big, but anywhere in the vicinity of that, I start feeling like, man, I start feeling horrible. I don't know how people be walking around like that and still athletic. I don't know. But
you ever had that moment where you like walk up two flights of stairs and your heart jumps out of your throat? Like that right there. Yeah, I lived on the second floor one time. I think I was at like 260, and I lived on the second floor one time, and I walked up the stairs coming home from work one night, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I said, oh, shit, I got to do something with myself. My life is falling apart.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I done been there, and so I'm doing much better now. Doing much better now. But let's get into it. What sparked and triggered this? Well, let me just ask. Did the conversation we had yesterday on this show? You wasn't on the show, but did that kind of spark this one or no?
I emailed you this link while you were doing yesterday's show because your show wasn't supposed to be about this, but once Ed came up and then him and the other lady on the panel, I forget her name, but you know the one with the African accent, she's a nice lady and all, but they were having a disagreement about stats, and Ed mentioned black demographics and the whole thing about how they changed the numbers. And I have never actually been onto blackdemographics.com. So yesterday was my first look at it. And when I looked at that, I was like, oh, we got to talk about this. There's some numbers worthy of conversation here. We could at least get a show out of this stuff because the stats are interesting. The stats, some of it's typical. You kind of expect what you see. But then some of it is like, well, if I read between the lines, I could make some drastic conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That's why I said in the pre-intro ramble, a lot black men in this space basically put that website Black Demographics on the map because we've deep dived into that and looked at all of that. I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing that they're taking all the black stats and just putting them there, in an easy digestible way, you know. So yeah, we definitely been digging into that, and so yeah, we can start wherever you want to start with it, but it is a page on there that's called Black Women Statistics that is kind of easy to just look at that, glance at, and it's a lot to talk about there. Even on the black male statistics part of it, it's a lot to talk about. There's so much to talk about. Like you can just comb through any page of that website and just have a whole discussion. Hell, we might just do a page by page series someday of just breaking down each page on that damn website because all of it is good. And the thing is, it all ain't, you know, some of it debunks a lot of nonsense that just floated out there about black men, and a lot of it debunks a lot of it debunks a lot of the black girl magic parades that they throw about being the most educated and the most this, and it debunks a lot of that stuff. but all the stats on there don't make black men look good. Some of it may put us in a better light. But some of it is, you know, pretty hard hitting, like, ooh, that's bad. But, you know, but either way it go, the stats are the stats, the facts are the facts, and I want to get the best picture, the best representation of the truth, regardless of where it leads. That's this thing we call red pill. Is about, you know, accepting reality for what it is and moving accordingly. Like that's why I'm all about the stats. That's why I'm all about the facts. So let's go ahead and dig into it. Whatever screen on there that you wanted to share first and start with. Hopefully you can zoom in so people can see what we're talking about and know we ain't making nothing up. But I mean, I know a lot of people have been on this website, so it shouldn't be anything just
this
out
is
of
about
nowhere.
as far as I can probably zoom. I don't know if I can actually zoom in any closer than this. The best you could probably do is actually do a complete full screen. I don't know that I can get it any closer. But
Right,
the first image, though, that I see is just, you know, this is petty. I'm totally being petty right here. But when I click on black marriage, I don't want to see a chick with a sleeve full of tattoos. Like the sleeve tat girl is not the black marriage model. That right off the bat, like who picked you?
That's what they give us. They
like really,
you know what? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, they say black marriage. They didn't show us a picture of a goddamn a clear cut card carrying Pookie who got neck tattoo on in his tuxedo. It's like they didn't do that. So you make a real good point that they didn't put a tatted up bride right there. A tatted up bride, man. That's a trip. That's a trip. They literally did that.
tatted up with a splash of blonde weave.
Yeah, and probably got thug life tatted across her chest and shit. Like, God,
my girl got a biracial weave trying to represent black marriage. Oh God! Oh, yeah. All right,
if homeboy
black demographics, y'all.
If homeboy had a neck tattoo, I would just say, all right, hood wedding. They love each other. Good for them. But homeboy looked normal. But she just Yeah, man. All right. Yeah. Shout out to SK. Let's get this. Shout out to SKC. He in the building. Shout out. He says, I'm here for this,
Yeah,
math,
yeah.
math versus math. Oh my goodness. BR and Hood wrote an article that might fit into this, but the question remains, will data science override feelings? Yeah. It'd be a lot of that going on. But shout out to SKC. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody who supports the stream. Appreciate everybody who supports the stream. But let's get ready to go. Go ahead.
Well, no,
You got
let
it.
me speak to that just a little bit, because I did read that piece that Obsidian posted on his community tab last night. Obsidian be writing like these long screeds. He needs to just print that shit on scrolls. But basically he was saying how the educated Black woman is something to attain as far as Black men's marriage aspirations, and the entirety of his comment section disagree with them almost like 90%. And I disagree too. I don't think it's so much the education that matters. It's how does her education benefit you? So like Black women being the most educated group of women and wherever has
They're
kind of
not.
been the right. But it's kind of
They're
been
not.
the model, the motto for a while. They've been saying that for a while. And my question is, even if I take you at face value, let's lean into your argument. How does you being educated benefit me? And that's where that was my counter to that. And I think that's what you can kind of suss out when you start digging through these statistics here. Do Black women's education actually benefit Black men directly in any meaningful way?
Yeah. Well, I didn't read Obsidian's article, but I've heard Obsidian speak on this plenty of times, and he spoke on this on my show plenty of times. And it is true. So, I commend him for bringing something to the table that we didn't know. The data is out there. And it is true that women, it doesn't say specifically Black women in the stats that he presented, but it did say that women who are college educated of at least a bachelor's degree or more, they they have a higher marital rate and a lower divorce rate. So that is true. I think one of the flaws that in the way that he puts it out there is that I've heard him say that, so if a woman, in so many words, he was basically saying, see, I don't want to botch or misquote somebody because I know I'm going to get put a comma or an apostrophe in the wrong place and then mess up the that's how he do me. If I quote him, if I don't get it exactly right to the molecule, he say he didn't say it. So I don't want to misrepresent him in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think a woman should be sitting there. Let's just say she's 25 years old and single, and she's thinking, the best thing I could do to raise my marital prospects is go and get my education. It's like, I don't know if that works, but I think people who are smart in general, the average person with a bachelor's degree or master's degree or PhD is smarter than the average person who doesn't have it. I know that bothers some people, but I just think that's generally true. And smarter people make smarter, better decisions. So there's a percentage of women who are college educated, who did look at the landscape and did figure it out and did make the calculated decision on who they're going to partner with for their life. And they got with somebody and did what they needed to do and made the right decisions and got married and worked it forward from there. And they tend to make a better calculated decision, not just for their own selfish whims, but, the long term for the children. And so it's some of them who think more like that versus a chick that it's not educated is less likely to think long term and have delayed gratification and foresight. So that's the chick that's likely to I don't know, get knocked up by some dude who ain't worth a damn and then start, so there's something to that. There's something to that I won't deny, that people who are college educated get married more, stay married longer, and divorce less. But it's not specific stats on Black people, on Black women when it comes to that. Because if you look at the marital rate, Black people, they they filed their the black women, I should say black women, they're filing for divorce. Their divorce rate is higher than the marital rate. We're the only people that flipped upside down when it comes to that. So when you look at the stats as a whole about educated people and their marital rate and their divorce rates, I don't think you could just shoehorn black into that because we're so upside down in every other way. So
I
he has to find the exact statistics on black women who are educated and how often are they married and how often do they divorce. He didn't pull that out exactly from what I saw, unless he found some new stats. So it's still some work to be done on that, but he is onto something about that sort of flies into the face of a lot of what Kevin Samuels said, because Kevin Samuels, his whole, I'm a PhD talking about how these women are prioritizing education over marriage, but the fact of the matter is the educated women are getting married more. So he's bringing something to the table that shakes the card up a little bit, but we'll see. We'll
there's a
see.
caveat. Like you said, there are things that you may inadvertently misstate or leave out, and there's a huge caveat. Educated women, by and large, are not getting married more. Even in his own piece, this is not how he describes it. Women
Oh,
of
that's
the
how he described it.
highest women of
Okay,
the
go ahead.
highest educational caliber tend to stay married more. Women of that middling education group, the average woman in the university system who is not your high earner, your type A personality, probably a natural personality trait anyway, those women, their education actually makes them less likely to marry. It is only the cream of the crop when it comes to the education. This is what I sussed out the way he presented his argument by his own words. The women that went to state university, yeah, they're not going to marry you for any longer period, or even want to marry you anymore just because they went to state university. Now, the girl who graduated from Stanford with a BA and a master's, yeah, she may logically conclude that I should pick a good man and hold on forever. I don't even know if he's describing the phenomena properly when he makes that point, because you're describing a certain type of woman who likely would have been married no matter what.
Yeah, and I know one time he did say that he like threw it out there to women to go and get your education. It'll increase the odds of you getting married. But if a chick don't got that mindset properly, but she just think if I just go grind and get my master's, then now I'm marriage worthy. It's like it's so it is I understand why people pick at what he's saying, but there's something to what he's saying about that type of woman, that caliber of woman. And somebody keep asking in the chat room, am I college educated? Negative. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I fall in that category of some college. That's where I fall
No,
in,
and
some college.
Chris G has it absolutely right. I do have my degree in hood sociology and a master's in child support finance. So yes, I have been educated.
God damn.
Since you want to ask. But yeah, these are just a quick sampling of stats. Since we're talking about black men and women's educational differences here, just a quick chart to highlight what we're talking about. So on the men's column, 6% of black men have a graduate or professional degree compared to 9% black women.
Okay.
12% black men compared to 14% black women with a bachelor's. At associate's degree, 10% of black women. I mean, generally speaking, black women have a slightly higher educational attainment, but I mean, frankly, the numbers aren't that far apart.
No, not like what
you're
you're
out there
saying, not
killing
like
us.
what Rebecca Lynn Pope was recently saying, how black women are running circles around black men. Those same gaps, that same disparity among other groups of people, the women are more educated at more or less, give or take, the same percentage rate. Those 3 percentage points, it's about the same with other groups of people. The 3 percentage points on a graduate or professional degree, the little 2 percentage points on bachelor degrees, or I thought it was actually more than that. But for every group, it's somewhere between 2, 3, or 4% that the women are more educated. I mean, college campuses are damn near 60-40 when it comes to men versus women. So every group of women in this country is more educated than their men. Black women are the only ones that they like to, like I always say, they like to what did I say? They like to, I don't know, wave their dick around about it. That's the only that's the only difference.
Really?
But every group of women is more educated than their men.
No, that's a fact. And then even on that note, I think it's pretty much established that black men still across the board out earn black women. So
Yeah.
that marginal increase in performance at the educational level doesn't translate to a great increase in output on the finance level.
Right. Right. Yeah. No doubt.
Now, actually, there was something. I'm going to drop this down for a second. There was something else. We were actually talking about black marriage, so I'm going to go back to the black marriage screen
Yeah.
and start diving into the numbers here because we were talking about the education levels and how women of a certain education level tend to just want marriage more and will stay in marriages longer. And that is relatively true without, getting into the deep specifics of it. That is relatively true. But I think I can find it down here. There's something I wanted to show you. All right. Black women were more likely to be married than white women until 1970.
Drop it down just a pinch. Okay. There we go. Good. Now I
There you
think
go.
everybody. Oh damn! It got smaller when you did that. Whatever you just
No, but
did
I
right
can
there.
zoom when I do it this
Oh,
way.
perfect. All right. But yeah, but right now we can't. Let me see. Get us out the way. But right now we can't see the year. We just see the lines down. All right. But I mean, I think that's work wittable. I think that's work wittable. You could see some in the 70s is when things started changing. But yeah. So it's saying
Well,
black
I would
women.
also argue black women began to flood the university system in particular from the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, while we're having this conversation about, their education makes them more, marriageable, I would argue that, in fact, for the broad majority, it makes them less married. It makes them less inclined to marriage.
Well, I think in general, women. I mean, look, that cultural change that started happening in the '60s, going into the '70s, where women fought against and rebelled against the whole notion. And Theo wife in the building. Shout out to Theo. I gotta stop the show. I should get a copyright strike and play that. Should go ahead and get a copyright claim just to play that damn that damn special greeting that SKC made. It was the Godzilla music and all kind of stuff in there, and scenes from movies that was supposed to be from when Theo dropped a super chat. I said I quit playing it because I kept
Now,
getting
don't do it. I'm
strikes
trying to
for it.
keep the show perfect for you. Don't do it. I'm not going to say
All
any
right,
bad words or nothing.
all right. Okay, cool. But Theo Wap in the building with $100 super chat. He says, "Good live stream. Just a reminder, Bernard will be riding on the wing to Philly for the Mumia Obsidian Ali experience, June 9th through 11th. Can't wait to see him with that air mask. Um, Air mask. Is that a term I'm not familiar with? Air mask. What is that?
I
I,
have
I
no
don't.
idea. I guess you got to wear your mask on the flight. Is that still a thing?
Oh, that's what he called. Yes. Well, when I traveled in
So you're gonna be on the wing. You're gonna be literally on the wing there. That's what the air mask is.
All right, but yeah, as far as I know, you still gotta wear the mask on the plane. They ain't moving on that. He says you need air masks if you're riding outside the airplane. Yeah, man. But no, shout out to Theo. Shout out to Theo. Definitely appreciate you dropping a heavy-handed super chat on it. Definitely appreciate that. We're gonna leave that one up there, so we're gonna have to work around. We're gonna have to work around the $100 super chat because I'm gonna let that one sit right there for a minute. But shout out to Theo. And yes. Go to the website. I know it got to be at least one moderator who got the link to blackmanosphere.events, so y'all can go and purchase your tickets to the Mumia Obsidian Ali experience. Theo's gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Obsidian's obviously gonna be there. Ike Ogiamian, Shannon Rawls, and Dennis Spurlin going to be there. So definitely want to go there and purchase your tickets. Purchase your tickets for the Mumia Obsidian Ali experience. Definitely get on that. But getting back to these stats. In 1960, yes, there was obviously cultural changes. There was some pushback. I mean, it was a civil rights movement that was followed by a feminist movement. Second wave, that with the feminist movement took off. The free love movement, that was basically women just put saying, "Hey, we not doing what we've been doing. We doing some other shit. We doing our own thing. We want our own freedom and social freedom of freedom from criticism and social judgment. If we just want to live our life and do what we want to do, how we want to do it, and screw who we want and screw who we don't, and we're just this is I am woman. Hear me roar. We doing our thing." And so
It's funny you
that
say
was
that. I'm sorry. It's
that was
funny
the
you say
that
that.
was
There's the
go ahead,
next
go ahead.
chart we got to look at to address that idea. The next chart, the very next chart, addresses that idea in a weird way. It's funny you say it exactly that way.
I think I know what's going to happen in the next chart. I think I know the next chart that is coming. But that was the start of it. That was ground zero of the slut walks when the that was the first slut walks. But anyway, so so yeah, so what happens next? What we got here?
Women started talking that way. And remember, statistics are a lagging indicator, meaning these things have been happening for a while before they show up statistically. So when Black women start talking like that and it's showing up in the numbers around the 70s, that meant Black men have been hearing it well before the numbers start showing up. So look at this chart. Black men were more likely to be married than white men until the 1960s. So what happened in the 1960s that made Black men not want to marry so much?
You tell me. You tell me what you
I'm
got.
not even, I am not even positive. I'm not going to have like 100% answer on this, but it has to be some kind of social changes, some kind of cultural phenomena is propelling not only men to want to not marry, but women to want to not marry. And I would argue feminist attitudes are creeping in from the ground level. It is rising from the root up, and it is driving a wedge between the men and the women. So like SKC, he has this one clip I heard him play a lot, and not just him, I've seen it in other places with James Earl Jones describing the combative relationship that he experiences from Black women just existing. And it's this weird militant Black womanhood that he kind of described that has been the new energy. And then when you listen to like a lot of women of that era, it's a whole new kind of game. It was like the birth of a new woman essentially around the 60s.
Yeah, that I think that is true. I think that is true. Now, one thing that we will deal with, because there's some debate about this. On one hand, it's just a cultural change with women, second wave of feminism. Women got more independent. They start going to college more. Sometime around, I believe, the early 80s, maybe 1979. I forgot the exact date, is when women became like the majority on the college campus by like 1 percentage point, and it's been just going up ever since then. Things like that started happening. Cultural movements, like I said, the free love movement, sexual revolution. Women got their freedom. Well, they were already free, but they got social freedom from criticism to just or judgment or shame to do whatever they wanted. It's funny, you removed shame for those things, and they just did it more. You can't shame them though. But anyway, so they the shame was removed, and they could do whatever they wanted. And then, lo and behold, the marital rate started dropping like crazy. Started dropping like crazy. Now, some have argued, and there's still some debate on this one. Some people say it's no debate. Right there where that line is at, around the 80s, instead of looking at the social movements and feminism and all of that, they start looking at the war on drugs and black male incarceration rate and all of that. Because there is another graph, I don't know if you got that one ready to go, where it basically where they draw the same lines. They got the same lines, the same streak, but they pull out the the
I might have
incarceration
that.
rate as the reason why. I'm
I
not
just might
as
have that.
convinced. That's probably coming. Yeah, okay, yeah. Here it is right here. I'm not as convinced that that's exactly it. I'm not exactly convinced that that is exactly it, because I mean, are we seriously saying that the men who were selling crack or using crack or do are we seriously saying that those were also, you know, the prime family men who are going to be marrying these women and starting families? So that I'm not exactly sold that like I don't they weren't going to IBM snatching Negroes out of the cubicle and throwing them in jail. Like I, you know, so I'm not as convinced by this one. I'm just not. But that's what a lot of people say is the reason. So I mean, we'll be remiss if we didn't bare minimum just throw this on the table as part of the reason for that marital rate going down. It has
Well,
to get put on the table. So go ahead.
no, yeah, we have to at least set the pins up so we can knock them down fairly. And I think Freeman's journal has it just right. He says, bruh, the war on drugs was decades later. Listen, we started these graphs in the 60s, all right? The black male graphs charted from the 60s, the black female graphs charted from the 70s, and now we're hit at the 1980s war on drugs. These can't be all related. This is too sequential, by the way. You could argue that the breakdown of the family is what led to the war on drugs. It's a much
Boom.
cleaner line from that to the war on drugs, from the family breakdown to the war on drugs, than it is to say the war on drugs is the reason why families broke down. You're trying to tell history in reverse. It's not how it works.
The way that I would put that is that right around the late 60s, when they started when those cultural movements and those changes started in the late 60s, carrying on into the 70s, okay? If the 80s is when everything started breaking down, that means that the people who were born in that 60s era essentially became uh, teenagers and young adults in that 80s era when things hit the fan. So to try to just skip right to the war on drugs, I think you're skipping a whole flight of stairs and you're ignoring the initial breakdown in families and why families were breaking down and less people were getting married and all of that. You're ignoring the reasons for that, but we're looking at the offspring of the change, you know, by the time we get into the mid 80s and things start really, you know, going haywire. That's you know, the people who were born in 1965 were the people out there clowning in 1985, if you understand what I'm saying. So those people that grew up and was raised and born and lived out their life in a completely different culture, those are the people that was doing all the stuff that, you know, that basically led to, you know, the staggering numbers that we see in the decline in marriage rate and the decline in all the stuff and the people who are getting incarcerated and all of that. It all came from there. It all came from there. So I think that's more or less where you have to point first. If you go right to the war on drugs or go right to mass incarceration, I think you're skipping you're skipping a whole flight of stairs when you go right to mass incarceration. And if you
And
so you can't just go right there.
even by this chart, what they show you at this line, right where the yellow block ends, this is around 2000-ish. It says the number of black men in prison begins to decline officially from here on, while the number of black men who will never marry is steadily increasing. I don't know if we can totally blame such a huge cultural phenomena on a brief period of drug war. There's something else going on the ground level. The drug war was merely seasoning to whatever the main dish was.
Right. Captain Cisco in the building says Johnny Depp is going to say when he defeats Amber Turd, you will always remember this as the day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. I didn't watch Pirates of the Caribbean, but if that was a line from that, I believe that I believe that joke is funny. I just don't have the context to laugh at it. But but I bet it's funny if you watch the movies. But Freeman's Journal in the building with a $20 super chat. He says, Bernard Riley, don't forget the WS. That's white. That's the supremeness of white folk. What supremacy? I'm trying to keep the show clean. We're trying to keep the show clean, but the white supremacy. I think I said it right. Okay. Anyway, coward. The WS crowd never mentioned Democrat drug policies of the 70s, methadone, functioning addicts, and such. That was fertile ground for crack. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. Do appreciate that. All right, let's who else we got in here? No, I think that's it on the super chat. And appreciate each and every one of y'all. Appreciate each and every. I keep seeing Tupac name in the chat a lot. What is going on? It says Tupac wasn't Tupac. Tupac was more like Tupac's dead boy. Okay, never mind. All right, I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all clowning in the chat. All right, what you got up here now?
This here is
Hey, hold on, wait, time out. Wait, time out. Did y'all time this brother out? Top Notch Radio, did y'all time him out? Because he's saying, so I can't watch Bernard Riley because I don't agree with y'all. It's okay to disagree. I love disagreements. I love debate. I don't know what you did or why they timed you out, but if you were on some ridiculous troll, just not even disagreeing, but just came here just to try to take a crap on the platform, then see, yeah, that will get you timed out. But if you just got a disagreement, that's no big deal. That's no big deal at all. Yeah, I don't. Okay, yeah, get the all caps out of here. But I'm trying to figure out what you did wrong if they timed you out. But overall, yeah, you are allowed to disagree. Don't be timing people out for disagreements.
No, I don't think he was going all that ham in the chat. It was simple. But
right,
this chart on the screen here, where are the black men with jobs? There's a little joke in here. I was reading through this just before we started the show.
Hold on, wait, back up, wait. Go back to the smaller screen. I mean, not the smaller screen, but make it bigger.
Let me see if I can zoom. It was
properly. Bigger.
Okay, this looks
scroll down. Scroll down. Where it say smaller metropolitan, right there. Smaller metropolitan areas. Go down. Okay, stop right there.
As far as it gets, okay, that's the whole thing.
Okay, so it says for metropolitan areas with black full-time working populations of 5,000 to 15,000. The bottom 5 for every, black man for every 100 black women with a full-time job. The bottom 5. Yeah, see that city down there at the bottom in Michigan? See that
Saginaw
city right there?
Is that personal to you?
Yeah, I
hear the discomfort.
Me and my brother was talking because he be listening to, because little story. I never told my family, friends, anybody that I was on YouTube. I was just like, I'm just going to do it. And I know it's a success if they just happen to find it and be like, hey man, you on YouTube, so that's exactly how it happened. I never told them, they just found it. So my brother, he been listening to the conversations for like the last couple of months, and some of the conversations he don't understand when we talking about women being picky and saying they got to have a man to make a certain amount of money and blah 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 blah. He didn't quite understand where we was going. The whole Kevin Samuels show, they calling in saying they want all this and want all that. He was like, man, these chicks, they just happy if they just get a dude who can just pay his own way, not just be a burden on them. And I was like, you know what? And I was like, in our hometown, I think you might be right to some degree, because he didn't know the stats, but I basically said, for whatever reason, in our city, it is like the worst city. It is the worst city for black women. Like, I can't even front on that. Where I don't even know how the job distribution layout and all that is. But this is the worst damn city, because for every 100 black women with a full-time job, it's only 67 black men with a full-time job. So that's what we were sitting there saying, like, yeah, it's a lot of chicks that got a nigga laying up on their couch in Saginaw. So that was a very funny personal conversation. But looking at black demographics and you see your own city up there, it do hit different. It do hit hard when you see that. I was like, God dang. And shout out to Kristen Hutchinson calling out people, Anthony Roberson, who made it to the NBA, Charles Rogers, who was I think number 3 or 2 pick in the NFL draft for the Detroit Lions. We got a few people that made it. Jason Richardson,
from Saginaw.
Green. Yeah.
Nah. Listen, the numbers are telling the story for you. And this is why I said there is a joke in the numbers, and it's brutal and it's crushing and it's totally SYSBM related. Like, bro, listen, look at the bottom 5 towns, all right? You got South Carolina, there's Florence, Tallahassee, Mobile, Greenville, Monroe, and those are the smaller metropolitan areas. Now, for the even smaller, you got Athens, Georgia, Sumter, South Carolina. Damn, South Carolina is double represented. Wilmington, North Carolina, Peoria, Illinois. So that's Chicagoland. Saginaw, Michigan, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
in those towns, for every black man, there is 100 black women. So let's look at Saginaw.
Wait, hold
For
on.
every 100, I said that wrong, but I'm going to clean it up right now. I said those numbers wrong. Just disregard. I'm going to clean it up right now. So in your town of Saginaw, Michigan, for every 67 black men, there are 100 black women, right? And
With
that
full-time
lopsided
jobs, though.
number, that lopsided number though, is persistent in the poverty zones. Essentially, these are the smaller metropolitan areas, and where black women outnumber black men with high ranking jobs. Now, and the other side, where black men are doing well, black men actually outpace black women. So you actually have to move to where black the men have to move to where the men are getting money. You have to get away from the women. That's really what I see in the numbers here. So in these towns where full-time working populations of 5,000, and see the numbers are just population density numbers. They're not saying who's employed or not. I want you to understand that. This is not about full-time or employment or not. This is the numbers for every 100 and for every 100 black women in Athens, Georgia, there are 81 black men. And this is at the bottom of full working population. So if you want to have better job prospects, you have to get away from the black women, according to the numbers. You have to go to a town where the numbers are more in your favor.
So are you saying that that the population of working black men in Saginaw, and where's that above Saginaw? I could barely see it.
Peoria, Illinois.
Peoria, whatever you said, Illinois. And then you look over to Salt Lake City over there. Go down a little more. We had some other ones over there. Down a little more.
This is the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking at urban Honolulu, El Paso, Texas, Salt Lake City. So the basically all the men who are worth a damn got the hell up out of Saginaw and Peoria and in Wilmington and went over to Salt Lake City. they had to get the hell up out of there. They just left all the couch surfing hobosexuals in Saginaw, and they just said, I'm getting the hell up out of here. I'm going to Providence.
Yeah, essentially.
Like that's pretty much what happened. They like, we are getting the hell up on. That was a huge gap. It was like in those other places, the top 5 ones, it was like 290 something full-time working black men for every 100 full-time working black women. Like that's staggering.
Yeah.
But over here it's staggering.
So let's go look at some of the top 5 and the largest metropolitan areas. So these are areas where the black full-time working population of 50,000 or more, right? So the top 5 metro for black men, this is San Diego, California. This is the top 5 city for black men as far as earning potential, right? Black men outnumber black women at a rate of 1.6 to 1. This is 167. Actually, you could round that up to 1.7 to 1, technically. So 167 black men compared for every 100 black women. Yeah. Shout out to Freedman's Journal from San Diego, apparently getting in on the wave.
Yeah.
And now let's see on the bottom 5. Let's just look at Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So of the large metropolitan areas, of the bottom 5, meaning the worst areas where black men perform economically, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, black women outnumber black men at a rate of 100 black women for 81 black men. And I hate to be like, it sounds hard when I say this, but am I not supposed to see a correlation that the higher the ratio of black women to black men, the less economically successful the black men appear to be? I mean, at least on the far fringes of all the of the data, this is what I'm being showed. When it comes to the highest and the lowest performing groups, that is what you see, a huge disparity in the ratio between black women and black men. And it's a weird way to like try to conceive of this thing we call the gender war. But how is it that in the areas where black women outnumber black men, it seems to be the areas where black men struggle the most?
Ah, you raise an interesting point. Even though I don't know if they outnumber them in that area or if it's just more of them working. Well, I mean, that's probably why they outnumber them, because there's more of them working full-time jobs in that area. So I think it's clear that they do outnumber. So yeah, no, you are right. You are right. It is an interesting piece of data. Like I've looked at this, and like I said, my own city was on this chart, so I was like, wow. So it's staggering. It's staggering.
Oh, highlight SKC's question for me, please, because now we're getting into the nitty gritty here. He just asked a question,
And when he asked the Freeman's Journal, right there.
Yeah, right there. That is a killer. Oh, and they mad at me for noticing this gender war phenomena. But ask yourself, who is in charge of all these cities where black men have the worst economic output, yet black women outnumber them at such a high rate?
It's no doubt Democrats are running those cities for them. I mean, you probably can find a few anomalies, but I have no doubt that Democrats are running those cities. And I also have no doubt that there's probably a considerable amount of black women who are in position. But what I noticed when I just go and look at the ballot, like I vote in one of those cities, not one of those ones featured there, but one of those ones where, it's not looking good for black men. Just on the ballot, just looking at it on the ballot, I see, I do see black men running for positions, but a lot of times it's Democrat. They're Democrats. So they're upholding whatever is being upheld. And that's the thing that, SKC covers this. I know you cover this, how all the time when they're blaming all this on racism, it's everything on racism. A lot of times it be in the city where it's a damn near majority black police force, a black police chief, a black governor, a black mayor, a black this, a black that. It's like black people running it at damn near every level. It's like black people be running every level of certain areas, and it still be bad. It still be bad. But like you say, the black people who get the hell out of Dodge and move to Utah seem to be the black men who get the hell out of Dodge and move to Utah seem to be doing well. But anyway, yeah, that's a thing.
It's a real deal. And someone just super chatted an interesting fact that I'm not sure how this factors into the equation specifically, but I know it is a part of the phenomena. Where Christian Hutchinson with the $5 super chat, thank you for that. He says, if there are no jobs, guys have to leave for work, but women get welfare. That is an absolute reality. And so it's hard for me to even just fathom how that plays out on the ground level for each individual person. But, that has to factor into these disparities here.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you for that super chat, Christian Hutchinson. Do appreciate it. Oh man. But no, good. What the hell? Now that's stuff that'll get you just timed the hell out. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
All right. Let's somebody don't block them. Just give them a 2 minute warning. Just punt, pass, and kick them out for a second. Get him out of here. All right. Just time him out. E Taylor in the building. E Taylor 704 in the building. He says, "Here goes the fun fact for you. Hood, Seattle. Well, Seattle is a significant place for another reason. I'm not even going to get into. Drop down and get your eagle on. But anyway, here goes the fun fact for you. Seattle is number 2, and it's been SYSBM out here way before the internet and still is today. Thank you for the super chat.
Oh,
Appreciate
that
that.
jab was vicious. Oh, I'm just thinking about the realities of that whole the eagle. No, it's real in Seattle. It is cold blooded
Yeah.
in them damn streets out here. Woo! The game vicious in Seattle. I know it is.
Oh man. But yeah, no, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Look at Cleveland down there at the bottom. Cleveland, this one's for you. No, I'm just playing. That was LeBron James after he won the championship for Cleveland. Never mind.
Yo,
Side note. Anyway,
how many times Little Rock then made the news for being like the murder capital of the South? Like these are like also the body dropping hotspots. Like Milwaukee right now is, you know, SKC be tracking the numbers, and I'm telling you, Milwaukee is a dark horse. They just might take it all this year. Milwaukee put numbers up on the board. Like these are all violent hotspots of Black America. St. Louis, like this is where shit goes down. Excuse me. This is where it be happening. Though. It goes down on all of these towns.
My city, even though it's small, it's been a couple years where, percentage wise, that it was up there. It would do Detroit numbers if it was as big as Detroit, because percentage, look at the population. Damn, my bad. I got to turn my phone on silent. But looking at the population size and the amount of bodies hitting the floor out here is like, yeah. So I'm saying all that to say that there is a correlation with high murder rates and all of that stuff with those cities, where it's like for every Black woman, 100 Black women working a full-time job, there's 60, 70, 80 Black men who are those places where it's just bad, and it's just bad. Yeah, those correlations, it is connected to all of that. Yeah, it's no denying that. There's no denying that, because I'm surprised Detroit wasn't on that list, on that bottom 5 down there. I'm surprised Detroit wasn't. But those violent areas, that plays a part in it. That plays a part in it, and we wrong for calling it out. We taking a crap on our own people, or we're not looking at the circumstances that causes and blah 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 blah. But still, I mean, we shoot it dirty. We shoot it straight. We don't throw curveballs, man. We the pitcher who throws a fastball right down the center of the plate. That's what we doing. So yeah, no trickery there. The numbers are what the numbers are.
I'm going to drop this down for a second. I'm going to switch gears to something else. I was looking at all right, I haven't really pre-screened this one. We're just going to skim through this because the image struck me right away. Just like with the Black marriage image, I was like, oh, that's a little cringe. Why is this the face of Black poverty on blackdemographics.com? I mean, you had to pick somebody's face, but a little Black boy is the face of Black poverty on blackdemographics.com. I don't know why. I take personal offense to that, but whatever. I'm being petty. I know.
Yeah. I mean, he's
look like me. God damn it.
He's he's a victim of it. You said that look like you.
Look like me, damn it. I feel some type of way.
They done pulled up one of your little a picture of you when you was 4 and put it on Black Demographics.
No comment. No comment.
But what we got here? Oh boy, don't listen, man. Don't you? Are you about to just beat up on Obama? Is that what we're here to do? We not.
I wasn't even gonna. I'm just like scanning through this right now. If that jumped out at you, that's on you.
Yeah. Let Obama rock. Let Obama rock, man. He
it is actually going from Bush to Obama to Trump. And then look. I mean, look. The numbers say the what is this? The Great Recession caused an increase in poverty rate among African Americans from its lowest point in 2008 up to over 24% in the last 4 years. So actually, the numbers during Obama's span, the numbers fell below what they were in the Bush years. So I don't listen. My criticisms of Obama are not hugely economic. As far as the purse goes, he wasn't the worst Democrat ever. So that's not my issues with him. My
Yeah,
issues are a little bit.
well, real quick, what are your issues?
My issues are a little bit different. I'm just, more generally, I'm against the Democrat vision. So
Yeah,
I don't take the same, it's not that serious.
yeah, but no, I know that was a rough period in about 2012 for Obama, because you can make an argument about what he inherited, and it was already on the rise. You can see how where was that 20.8%, and then it started going up, and he hopped on a roller coaster that he could argue that it was on the way up, but the fact of the matter is, when you're in that goddamn hot seat, it is what it is. It's your fault. So that shit hit all-time high with a black president in the hot seat. It is what it is, but he did get it down before he got out of office. So I give him.
Yeah.
If we gonna blame him for it going up, I'm gonna give him credit for it going down. And then Trump rolled that. Okay, Obama.
Trump rolled that shit down even further. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
Yeah, but it was a series of unfortunate events where he hopped on a roller coaster that was on the way up, and then it was on the way down, and then he had to get off of it. And then Trump hopped on that roller coaster and was like, the black poverty rate is as low as it's ever been. I was like, you asshole, but go ahead and claim it.
I like how he owned that one. He totally stole that one. I was proud of him for stealing that one. I was like, that's how you politic.
Yeah, he politicked his ass off for that one. I gave him props for that. Y'all ain't about to call me racist.
All in all, I will say, as presidents go, Obama was not the worst president ever. I can dislike him generally and say he was not the worst president ever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, there was something else. I think I saw this. Here we go. These are the stats I wanted to get into.
All right, before you get into those stats, a lot of people just came through on the super chat, and I do appreciate it. Y'all are supporting hard and heavy today. Thank you very much. Machismo TV in the building says SYSBM is quickly going to become an issue of economic stability for Black men. I don't know. I don't know about that one. It's going to become an issue of economic stability. I think it will. I don't know how who you get with doesn't necessarily affect your individual success as much, unless you just with somebody who just outright freaking crazy. But I don't think it affects your individual success. But when men get married, and in most marriages, two people are working. So if you with somebody with a good head on their shoulders and y'all are working together, and she's not being a detriment and following your lead, and then y'all, money is combined together. If you make 75K and her 50K combined with it, and now you're making 125K, you can do things and move more things and make more things happen. And it puts you more comfortably in the middle class. So who you get with, if you're going to get married and have a family, who you do that with matters greatly. So in that sense, I do understand where you're coming from. But I don't. Sometimes I see the conversation get weird where dudes are talking about that. Like you getting with a woman of a different race. That's not what helped you get an engineer. That didn't help you get an engineering degree. I mean, pat yourself on the back for your engineering degree or your CDL license or whatever you got to help you get that money. But yeah, you do need to make sure you get with somebody who ain't going to take away from your shit. But anyway,
that's kind of where I've landed on it too as well, because it's weird for me. Like on one hand, you could kind of logically make an argument that you don't need no woman. You can just sort of date forever and then just provide for yourself financially. But then when you start looking into the statistics, even provided by blackdemographics.com, I start looking through the numbers, and it does appear to be that the most successful Black men, and even Obsidian, this is part of his argument that rings true, the more successful Black men do tend to be married or at least partnered well. And you have to kind of figure that into the equation of things. And it does seem to be true that if you want to get to the higher levels of success, it seems to come along with a stable relationship. Make of that what you will.
It does, but see, the only reason I don't like to go down that route, because I'm all about Black men having their own now I don't want to say freedom, because we got freedom. What's the word? I don't know. Okay, I'll just use it. Free will. Just live your life how you want to live your life. Make good decisions. Be responsible. Do your thing. But your personal choices, like I'm not trying to put a ball and chain on anybody's foot. I want you to have your own sovereignty. Put it like this: black male sovereignty. That's the word. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I do want black men to have that and have that mindset, and so that's why I hesitate on. I'm not going to be that guy that pushes for marriage. Like, no, I'll never be that. But I acknowledge the simple fact that, yeah, families do. I mean, you can look at the data. Families do matter. You tend to do better partnered with somebody until shit go left, and shit go left a lot. So that breaks down that aspect of the argument. And then children turn out better, growing up in families, but shit go left, and that kind of messes up the argument too. But there is data that show that kids that were born into a marriage and a stable family, even if it ends and it was a divorce, those kids still statistically turn out similar to kids that were born in a marriage that stayed together. So families do matter, but looking at a lot of other stuff that go on is like, damn. It's like I'm not gonna be that dude just trying to push guys into getting married. Forget all that.
That's why I tried to phrase it, and here's the key word. Good pairings matter. I think that's
exactly
missing.
Exactly. That's what it is. Good pairings. Good pairings. That's the best way to look at it for me as well. But JC the Conqueror in the building with the $5 super chat. Do appreciate that. And Mr. Tobert in the building with the $20 super chat says paying dues. Absolutely, absolutely, totally appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream, each and every one of you. Shout out to Edward Anderson. I always like to hear Edward Anderson's take on this. Well, I think he's responding to KG. He says that gets in the way of they spending. A lot of these chicks just want a lifestyle bought and paid for by a simp. Truth be told, you not owed a luxury lifestyle. That is not right. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your comment. All right. Yeah, hey, y'all be nice. You heard him, Edward, and Feminine Melanin. I don't even know what they're talking about, but yeah, they be. I knew as soon as I saw her in the chat, and I saw Ed in the chat. I knew they was gonna be atting each other real soon. But all right, go ahead. Now, what you got up here on the screen for us?
Yeah, now this is we were talking about poverty and the black families and all that, and let's just dig into the pie chart here. So if you look right here, female householder, these are black families living at or below poverty level. 74% of the families living at or below poverty level.
Oh,
a female householder, no husband.
By the way, hold on. By the way, I just want to say this. Whenever y'all hear black women on these online spaces trying to argue against with things that men say, and they say black women are the breadwinners in the majority of households in the black community, just keep in mind this is what they're talking about. Those families living below the poverty line, because a household is defined in most cases as an adult and children in the house. Damn it, I thought I muted this already. That's how it's defined: an adult and children in the house. So because majority of the households, by definition, by the definition that they laid out, are single mother households, so black women are the breadwinners in the majority of households in Black America, because they don't consider a black man single living by himself to be a household, but a black woman single living with kids is a household. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we even dig deep into that. So, okay, a female householder, no husband. That's 74% of the families living below the poverty line. So married couples. So when people get married, and again, there we go about that marriage stuff, that we don't advocate for, but we will acknowledge. We're not trying to push y'all into marriage, but we will acknowledge married couples living in married couples living below the poverty line, just 16%. And
well, look at it this way: if you're married as a black couple, you have a 16% chance of being stuck at the poverty level. That's not bad. That's actually, you can win. You can beat 16% odds.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. You said it backwards. The thing that
I'm trying to sell it. That's why.
no, I'm about to sell it better. There's an 80%, there's an 86% chance. No, I'm sorry, 84% chance that while you married, you won't be living below the poverty line.
Oh yeah,
84% chance. That's the
yeah,
that's the that's the best sales pitch right there. Now I'm
right.
not trying to sell it, but I mean that is what it is. Yeah, you get
That
married.
is so weird. Yo, I spend like a couple hours swimming through blackdemographics.com and now I'm like making a statistical argument for black marriage. I hate myself so much right now.
Yep, yep, yep. But you know what? Here's the thing, though. Single mothers of other races. I mean, okay. I don't think it'll be this drastic, but I guarantee if you pull it out for other races, it'll look somewhat similar. Somewhat similar. Like I said, that there's data, and I don't even have that at hand, but there's data to show that you're better off being born black into a marriage in this country than to be born white to a single mother. Like single motherhood does not work. But yeah. But if you're a man with no
Yeah,
wife and the head of a household and have children, there's a 90% chance that you won't be living below the poverty line. But if
yeah.
you're a
Now
woman,
that is the reality. That's the other side of the marriage number. Listen, you get 84% chance versus a 90% chance.
hmm yeah, yeah. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. Numbers are what the are. SKC said, female householder, no husband equals modern day slavery. Christian Hutchinson said it is similar. I think he's referring to my point that I made about even amongst white people, it wouldn't be that different. I mean, women raising children by themselves is typically a no-no. Of course, there's exceptions, and that's where the black girl magic comes in, where they parade out and throw a black girl magic parade for excuse me, those who are successfully doing it and are 100% good and they make good money and they solid and they got a working system, somebody babysitting, who the hell knows exactly what's going on, but some of them pull it off. Some of them pull it off, but the data is what the data is. A black single mother led household, 74% chance that you are living in poverty.
Yeah, there's something else I kind of just thought about with these numbers too. Um, this is why I say black politics sucks right now. It's just in a rut. Black politics consists of variations of three core ideas. We're going to help your baby mama. We're going to fight racism, and we're going to get your cousin out of jail. And when they no, think about it. Name an issue that's a black issue right now.
um shit. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart. What do you call it when white people I don't know, move into an apartment that somebody built in a black neighborhood and drive up the prices? What's that word?
Gentrification, racism.
Gentrification. That's one. That don't fall under the category of what you said.
It's racism. White people coming in here kicking black people out of their historic black neighborhoods. Are
No,
you kidding? That's not racism.
you said all black politics it fall under I'm going to help a baby mama. I'm going to
Who you
help
think
out your
lives in
baby
that
mama.
neighborhood? That historic black neighborhood. Your baby mama, who lives in a historic black neighborhood, is now being bought out by rich racist white people.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so gentrification does fall. Okay, so everything falls under I'm going to help out your baby mama. I'm going to get your cousin Nuck out of jail, and I'm going to what else? What is the other
Fight
thing?
racism.
Oh, fight. Okay, yeah. So yep. So everything is fighting racism, getting
And
somebody out of jail, or and giving some type of benefit to single mamas. Yeah, that.
looking at this chart, right, you could argue that anytime a black Democrat says all of those heartfelt emotional words about the poor and poverty and the downtrodden, they're mostly talking about the female householder with no husband
Mm-hmm.
and her children.
Yeah.
And so at least 74, we could argue almost 74% of black politics is directed to black women.
Yeah. Well, nobody gives a shit about the nobody gives a shit about the 10% of single fathers that are below the poverty line. Nobody gives a shit about that. And it's such a low number. I understand not giving a damn about it because it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's 10%. That's not that's nothing to make a big movement about. That's 16% of married black couples that are living below the poverty line. Mm, you're not going to move on that much. And then those are the 16% that, like you said, they got a fighting chance. They can figure it out. It's two people. Two heads are better than one. They'll figure it out one way or another. But that 74%, that's the percentage that's a fairly static group, unless she gets married. That's a fairly static group, a large number, and yeah, they put a lot of their attention to that. And as we know, black women vote for the Democratic Party at roughly 95%, something like that. And so, yeah, that's where their focus is. That's where they're focused because and it all ties together. When you fight it against the poverty, see, they're impoverished because of racism, and Nuck
You
Nuck
see?
needs to get out of jail. Well, that's her. That's that single mother's baby that needs to get out of jail. So really,
You
it's
see?
all for single motherhood. Really, all black politics is doing something to aid single motherhood. Yeah.
This is my argument essentially right here in a pie chart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see what else is on this chart. Let's go
Well,
down a
while
little
you
bit
look at that,
further.
hold on real quick. Nice sometimes in the building with a $20 super chat. I appreciate everybody supporting the stream. Y'all are coming through hard and heavy handed with the super chats. I do appreciate it. He says, honestly, women seek to date up to seek alimony and child support. Women gaslight marriage like they haven't already planned the divorce when she said, I do. Yeah, that is that, like, right, what you're talking about right there. And we can debate the degrees in which that's the case and the degrees in which that happens. But the fact of the matter is, we could show you stats on how and why marriage works, but then we can show you the stats on the probability of divorce. And then it's like the
Hmm.
good stats that we just showed you are basically just getting a lot of mud thrown on them when you look at the divorce stats. So it's all bleak. It's all negative either way. Even when you find a bit of positivity, there's still some negativity that can't be ignored. But shout out to you. Thanks for the super chat. Nice sometimes. Face Facts in the building says, according to this stat, single fathers do better than married couples. That is, oh shit, good point. I didn't catch that. That's a good point. He says, is the mother interfering the issue? That is a good point. Damn it. The only thing I could say in
Yeah.
fairness,
Good.
only thing I could, well, no, I really can't. I really no. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, okay. This is what I can say in fairness, and I know this because I experienced this firsthand. In order for a man to become a single father, it happens one or two ways. Either the woman have to be completely garbage. I mean, just dog water garbage, and okay, and then that man can become a single father, or
Well,
he has to be really on point. So the
uh,
single fathers are the ones that are definitely more on point. So
here's something right here I think you could honestly suss out from just these numbers. Just because of what you said is true, all things being equal, the woman is more likely to get the kids. If you're of the black men who's of the 10% that are below the poverty level, you are far less likely to have your children. Think
yeah,
about what it takes. You're just not going to be the guy.
yeah. And they're saying, or if she dies, a widow, or if you're a widow. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the only way that these poor guys, the 10% below the poverty level, that like she has to be that messed up where it's so easy. Like the police caught her with dope, meth, and guns, and
Yeah,
now you
she
just
gotta
got your
be either
kids.
she gotta be either dead or on crack, slowly killing herself, one or the other. But that's how one of
But
those
yeah,
dudes end up with the
the
kids.
majority of those guys they don't have their kids. Now, up in this group, above the poverty level, I would argue a lot of these guys probably have, I don't know what percentage, but I would say a higher percentage than the guys below the poverty level actually do have their children. Because these are the men who live above the poverty level right here in this group. I mean, these are all black people rather living above the poverty level. So you got married couples as a family, which are 53% of the black population. Well, how do you read this? 53% of the population that's living above the poverty
Is
level
it
are the married
population
couple.
or are they talking about households? Because I think this only refers to kids being involved.
This is just the number of black families. So it's not even, I don't even think they're counting single. It has to have kids involved. Wow. So that means all of these groups would have to have kids involved in if they're going to make
Yeah,
all these categories even. So even with this 10%, we're talking about fathers on both ends. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
yeah. They're not calling it a family if it's just a single person with no kids.
Okay,
So
so
married
we
couple.
can,
You see, notice they said married couple family, but anyway, well, okay,
yeah,
anyway, but okay, so married couple family, 53%. Well, let's go down. What are they saying here? Living above the poverty line, 53%,
so that's the
53%.
majority.
Female householder, no husband. That's 10 only. Okay, so 10%. Wow, that's flipped upside down. Like, I think you just said that, but 10% of the women who are the female householder, no husband. That's just basically a woman
They're
in
37% of the pie.
living above the poverty line.
Yeah,
Female
so
householder.
37% of the
Okay, I
single
read it
mother
wrong. My bad.
households are above the poverty line. So of all the black families, 53% of the black families, of all the black families that are above the poverty level, that means any grouping with children involved, right? So of all the black families living above the poverty level, 53% of them are actually married. So the majority of the black families are above the poverty level are married, right? Now the
Hmm.
next below that is 37%. That's the single mothers. So of the black families that are above the poverty level, 37% of our black families above the poverty level are single mother led homes.
Okay. Yeah, that ain't. I mean, that ain't that bad. I mean, the below, the other.
It's bad when compared racially across demographics. It only looks like raw numbers to us because we're looking at it only in a black context.
Okay. Male householder, no wife. It's
10%.
okay. Yeah.
So black single fatherhood is at 10% roughly across the board. It seems like, well, at least on the above below poverty level. See, it seems like it's holding at 10%, which is weird. I don't know why it's steady 10%. That seems like an odd thing.
Yeah. Um. The Standard, he says 1960s was the peak of the civil rights movement. The way it ended affected the morale in the community, and the women lost faith in the leadership of the men. How do you, the way it ended? It ended with, I mean, well, civil rights legislation getting passed. And then it was still like a, black power. It was about Black Panther movement after that. That some would argue that was the continuation of it. But I don't know. I don't know I don't know how you draw that line. He says the way it ended affected the morale in the community, and women lost faith in leadership. I mean, I think it more or less accomplished what it set out to accomplish. It didn't. We didn't arrive at the land of milk and honey, but Jim Crow laws were done away with. Segregation became, was no longer a, an enforced by government thing. So I don't, yeah, I don't know how you draw that conclusion right there. But all right, all right. SKC says so. Married couples do better overall, yet marriage is super low in the community. Yeah. Um, Robert J. Carmichael in the building says the black woman is God turned into black women is Godzilla. Damn.
Ouch.
Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Um, and also, who else we got in here? I think that's it on the super chat. And do appreciate each and every one of you supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you supporting the stream. Go ahead. What we got? What we got up here now?
African Americans in public assistance. Now, this doesn't appear to have any gender breakdown whatsoever, so it's just a raw number. When it comes to, let's see, what years are we talking about? From 2009 to 2012, African Americans, at least, I guess, 41% of Black people take at least participation in at least one program, one type of government assistance, meaning food stamps, Medicaid, housing, Social Security, or cash benefits.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have any great point to make here. I was just
hold on, wait. I'm sorry. Let me give me a second because I was trying to handle some clerical issues with the show. Okay, African Americans and public assistance. Percent of African Americans receiving public assistance. Okay, cash assistance 2.6, supplemental. Okay, 7%. Section 8. Damn, that seems high for
Actually, I do
Section
have a
8.
point to make. I do. I just realized something about this. These numbers are skewed as man. Wow, think about this. At least 41% of African Americans participate in some kind of public assistance program. I wonder how much that translates into like raw numbers. Like I'm imagining we participate in public assistance programs in one way or another at a far higher rate. That's what I'm kind of thinking these numbers are showing me.
You're thinking that they are, so you're saying, well, I mean, okay, I guess lay out your case. Why are these numbers incorrect?
I'm not saying they're incorrect. I'm saying they're telling me something else that I'm sort of reading between the lines here. If 41%, like what's the percentage of, let's say, white people that participate in at least one program? What's the percentage of Asians that participate in at least one program? What's the percentage of Latinos? Like, because there's somewhere you can probably find that breakdown, and I'm wondering where we rank in those kind of comparisons.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah. At least one program, 41%. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, I do see that. I do see that. Yeah, I got no major commentary on this one
It's
right
just one of
here.
those things of like, listen, if the raw numbers say, you got to look at something, and well, hey, that's what the numbers say. Make of that what you will, but that's what the numbers say. But I suspect, like I said, if compared to other ethnicities, we probably
What's going on here?
Households participating in food stamps by race and ethnicity. Ooh, I'm afraid to read any further. I don't want to look. Go ahead, you can read it. You tell me what you see.
No, it's this is what they like to pull out. They say they pull this out all the time, and they say white people are the majority of people on food stamps, which is true, which they are, and that's what this shows. The larger blue percentage, represents 42%. That is white people on food stamps. However,
keep reading the numbers. See, the numbers have numbers that the numbers don't tell you.
there is a big however in there, and I ran into this argument on the show before, and basically they were saying, nope, you got to look at the total numbers. You can't look at percentages or population percentages. You must look at the total numbers. So because we're a minority in the country, white people make up, they're probably below 60% at this point. They're probably like let's just round them to 60. They're probably at like 58, so it's close to 60. So let's just say 60. So they're at 60% of the population, and we're at 13% of the population, but they're at 6.2 million and we're at 3.7 million. Our percentages are significantly higher. So somebody said that don't matter. You got to look at the total number. And I'm saying, okay, as long as we remain a minority in this country, we can engage in any act at a higher percentage rate and say, hey, total numbers are lower. So basically, if we just stay around 10% of the population, we can kill as many people as we want because it won't be more than everybody else. We can carjack as many people as we want. It won't be more than the total of everybody else. So those are basically the numbers on that. So I mean, I'm not gonna. The truth is the truth, and I've always said that yeah, white people, there's more white people on welfare than black people on welfare, and that is what it is. But you do have to take a look at the percentages if you're trying to narrow in on a problem within the black community. If you're trying to narrowly, you know, look at a problem, look at the poverty, look at the look at the people in the households who are less likely to be in poverty, and look at the people in the households who are less likely to be on welfare and getting government assistance. So that goes back to that large 74% number that we were looking at, and that's what's making up that 3.7 million right there, that 13% of the population is eating up, metaphorically and literally, because it's food assistance. But so yeah, that is the take and the analysis on that. That's where I'm at. That's what I got on that one. But real quick, Dame C in the building says, BR salute. Just because Jim Crow ended, whites just lied and said no vacancy, no jobs. Okay, fair enough. To blacks, black people still remained left out of the American. Okay, bullshit. I mean, I say we can roll up our sleeves and do what we got to do and create our own American dream. That was one of the flaws of the civil rights movement, even though I think it accomplished what it set out to accomplish. At the end of the day, if we're saying we want to be integrated, we want you to hire us, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, we're not building our own shit, and that is still a problem today. So let me read that again. Just because Jim Crow ended, whites just lied and said no vacancy, no jobs. That technically got trumped over too, because you can't. It's laws in this country. I mean, there's so many discrimination lawsuits from companies doing bad practices when it comes to hiring. I mean, listen, I don't want to say we won that fight. The fight is over, but goddamn, it's companies that get sued for when they get discovered. Put it like this: when it comes to a white supremacist, whether or not we live in a white supremacist country. I mean, yes, racism exists, and yes, there are institutions. By institutions, I mean companies that practice various forms of racism. The thing is, when they get caught, they get sued and got to shell out millions of dollars. And so, I mean, you could just Google it and you'll find another company taking a major L because they crunched the numbers and scratched beneath the surface and found out there's racist hiring practices here. So all that is part of the legacy of that civil rights movement. So to say that it didn't work because some white people are still racist, the fact of the matter is it was about making it to where they can't legally be racist and not be brought up on some charges for it, seeing as they can be brought up on charges for it. I mean, I worked with a black guy. This dude, cool brother, funny as hell. I like joking with him, but he pulled up at a job where he was making like $13 an hour. He pulled up in a Cadillac truck one day and then pulled up in a Cadillac sedan the next day. And I was like, well, goddamn, you got to explain this, brother. You make $13 an hour. How you pulling up with two Cadillacs? And he said he sued two of the big three in the automotive industry out here in Michigan. I was like, how the hell you do that? He's like, because they racist. I was like, yeah, but how the hell you do that? He's like, and he was like, man, I stay suing these racist crackers. And he literally said that and was loud as hell and said, as soon as these crackers here at this job that we was at, as soon as these crackers get racist, I'm gonna sue them too. And guess what? So eventually he got fired on some borderline Me Too type shit. He didn't really, sexually assault or harass the chick, but he did say that she was a hoe because she was assumed to be screwing one of the co-workers. And so and so they said that was sexual harassment, that he said something like she's a hoe, they all hoes or something like that. And then so he got fired, and lo and behold, I had quit working there by then, but lo and behold, as soon as he got fired, what did he do? He filed a racism lawsuit. I don't know if he won that one, but the man was riding on 2 racism lawsuits and riding on 2 Cadillacs from racism lawsuits, which means it's illegal for them to do that. It is illegal for them to do that. Can they get away with it? Yes. It's illegal to drive 85 miles per hour on a highway. Do people try to get away with it? Yes, but the law is the law. They can't do it, and if they do it, and you can catch them doing it and take action against them. That's what the civil rights movement and the Civil Rights Act was supposed to do. It wasn't supposed to make white people have a change in their heart and start liking you and never be racist. It was just to make it to where they couldn't legally do it. That's all it was supposed to do. Do they still try to get away with it? Of course. Is that why we should build our own shit? Of course. But in the event that we is working at their shit and they do something racist, we can get on their ass about it. That's how it works. That's America. So to say that the Civil Rights Act, none of that shit didn't work, bullshit. It did work. All right. I gotta take a piss, so I'm gonna hand it to you, and you do whatever you want to do with these numbers. But I gotta take a piss. I'll be back. I'm sorry. I should. That was unprofessional to tell y'all I gotta take a piss like that. I guess I'm unprofessional. All right, go ahead, man. You got it. Okay, you just gonna dead air me? Unmute yourself. Hood Conservative. Hood Conservative going once. Hood Conservative going twice. We gonna have some dead air, and I'm gonna go to the restroom because all this water that I've been telling y'all I've been drinking lately, since I've been getting my health together, be making me have to go to the bathroom a lot while I'm on the air. So it looked like you are back. It looked like, are you back? I just heard you making noise. Okay, so
you're
you go ahead
absolutely
and
right. I had to go take a quick trip.
Yeah. I mean, these 3-hour live streams are kind of taxing. So I'll be right back, but go ahead and have your way with these stats. All right, I'll be back.
But yeah, no, there's households participating in food stamps. Like, this is just food stamps, by the way. But I had suspected, like I said, from the previous chart that
Wait, hold
the
on. I
numbers
just
are skewed.
thought of something. SKC. I don't know if I want to bum rush everybody coming up, but this is definitely one for SKC. So I'm putting that
Send
link
them
in
the
the
link,
chat
email them.
for SKC. Nope. Feminine melanin, you are not. Nope. You sit in the back of the class. Okay.
Good call. Good call.
Sit in the back of the class. This link is for SKC. You are not coming up today. We got it, but no. But all right, hold on. I'm putting the link in. Nope, I'm putting it in the chat room. There it is. But all right. Yeah, we making feminine melanin, aka Jada LaRue, go to the back of the bus today. Nope, you on the back of the bus.
And now you see there's a link down here for me to click on to an article about the black-white wealth gap persists. And I'm just wondering now, is this not concrete evidence that the core of the black-white wealth gap is actually centered around the black single mother household? If we could actually do something about the black single mother household numbers, we could then attack the black-white wealth gap numbers. It just seems like a go-to for me. What do you think about that argument, by the way, SKC? Welcome to the show, man.
Repeat your argument one more time. I was still setting up.
All right, well, you can look at these two numbers right here on the screen, these two images on the screen. So that's just a quick snapshot of the graph we were looking at a second ago. The black families living at or below the poverty level. So 74% of those black families at or below the poverty level are the female household. So these are the single mother houses. And I'm saying, if you look right next to that, doesn't this pie chart give a lot of explanation to what they're talking about here in the black-white wealth gap? You could argue that the majority of the black-white wealth gap is actually focused on the single mother families below the poverty level. They are the center of gravity pulling the numbers down.
That is an interesting correlation. I think you need to look at it open up that black white wealth gap to see what are some of the numbers in that, and then kind of go from there. But that is I would say that would be an excellent start for a research question.
Okay, so this is the graphic they provided so far here. The black white wealth gap, the family median net worth, right? So we've already got the classification of a family that will include married couples or single parents of whatever gender, and the white families. You got black families, white families, and Hispanic families represented in this line graph. Family median net worth equals assets and valuable holdings minus debt. All right. So their net worth is their assets and valuable holdings minus debt. Simple formula. Now, where are the numbers we're supposed to be checking here? Well, that's a huge gap right off the bat. Oh, I got to zoom down a little bit. All right.
Yeah, that is a huge gap. You know
Like,
something with
wow.
these though, conservative that I wish they would do. Um, take the numbers from the different groups that are out there. Like, what is the wage gap between the single parent households, black white? What is the wage gap between the married households, black white? Like that, instead of grouping them all together.
Right. And I'm sure there are probably stats somewhere in the ether that we could find that represent that accurately. I don't know that Black Demographics has them. And I know Ed had mentioned this like right when I first saw him pop up in the chat. I don't even know how to address the stats that they disappeared from the site. Like, how do I even approach that? Because one, this is my introduction to the site. I just found this like yesterday when you guys were talking about it. I never actually looked on this website myself. And then two, where do I even begin to look for information that's been taken off of the website? It's like an impossible task.
No, it's there. It does come down to data mining and being able to chart the statistics. It can be, something. I wonder how many people would be interested in that on YouTube. You may have given me an idea.
Yeah, no, because the data mining is what I'm calling an impossible task here. Because like, one, you have to find the exact specific data and then collate it all properly and weigh it against each other in its most even terms. So, good luck with that. Now, I'm looking at the let's see the family median net worth for all the families starting out is 1989. Black families are at $8,000. Hispanic families roughly the same, and the white families are at $143,000. I mean, there is an obvious wealth disparity between the two families here. I don't even know any other way to describe that. It's just plain as day. Make of that what you will. I'm sure there are a bunch of reasons we can get into as to why, but it persists. And
Holy
it's real.
shit. Okay, I came late and I'm sitting there just looking at the blue line, and I was
It's
sitting
an
there.
outer space, Bernard.
No, I was sitting here saying, why aren't they showing black people on this list? And I look, oh shit, it's way down there on the floor.
The blue line is literally in outer space. Like the black and the Hispanic line is down in the dirt. We getting it in the mud, and the white folk are literally up in the stars.
Hispanics are somewhere on here somewhere.
Yeah, they got like a little burgundy line. It's hard to see. Maybe I have to zoom in all the way if you really, really want to look at it.
Yeah,
But if we go down here, there is a Hispanic burgundy line.
So I can see that now.
And it tracks roughly with the black line. We are roughly neck and neck.
This is like huge. In 2000, our wealth was higher than Hispanics. And then it stayed there. It was higher in like the mid
from 95 from 95 to
all the way to 2007. Our wealth was higher than theirs, and then it rolled at about the same level all the way up into 2016, where I believe that was when I started hearing people saying things like, man, these Mexicans buying up all the houses. That's probably around the time that their wealth started going up. They're buying houses, they're buying properties. People, okay, here's my take on wealth. It's normally tied up in houses. It's normally tied up in property. most of the time when somebody has wealth. I mean, there's a few people that got businesses that are their wealth generators, but most of the time it's a house. You bought a house, or your mama and them bought a house, somebody bought a house, and that's what the wealth is. It's not actual cash, you know. It's not cash in your pocket. It's wealth and net worth of a house that was bought and got paid down or paid for. That's pretty much where it comes from.
Yeah.
Now, seeing as black people don't most people buy houses when they get married, even though some black women or a single woman with kids will buy a house. A single man typically won't buy a house. So men don't buy houses till they get married. The marital rate hella low in the black community, and so buying property is extremely low. So there's a couple things that I would say, I think maybe a mindset change in terms of you probably should buy a house instead of renting, even though some people argue. I've heard a lot of single men make the case that hey, ain't no reason to buy a house. You might as well just pay rent, so you got flexibility and can move around and do what you want to do when you want to do it. Or I don't know, but that's really what that wealth is tied in. Just like us just not buying houses. That's pretty much
Well,
where it's at. We're paying rent,
it's
lining other
it's
people's
deeper.
pockets.
It's
Okay, go
deeper.
explain that.
Think of it like this. I was thinking about that. You remember the restaurant Pizza Hut? It's still around in some places,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Pizza Hut is the kind of place where you really can't operate it without a bunch of families, because it's a eat-in family type of restaurant, and there are a lot of ancillary businesses that exist because families live in this area. And without black families, you also won't get a lot of these ancillary businesses that pop up to keep family life happy. And so there's all this economic productivity and social networking that is not taking place in the black communities that are actually taking place in other communities, just by the fact that because you have families, you have to entertain your children. You have to keep your children protected. You have to keep them fed. You want social life for your children to be positive. And so other things will pop up to support this. And without the families being there, there's no business opportunity for these things.
yeah. Ed, I'm dropping that link in the chat for you. Just take the link. I ain't got to email it to you. Just take it. People who are not Ed, particularly Jada LaRue, aka Feminine Melanin, will be left in the back. I'm sending certain people to the back of the bus today. Is what it is. We talking
Yeah, I
about
think I, I was just agreeing with you, Bernard. I think that was the whole purpose of having the backdrop of this graph, to show a neighborhood and houses.
oh yeah, that
The
was I see what they
uh,
did there.
yeah, it's like they had, the home ownership is a great wealth disparatory, if that's a word. But it that's some of that comes along with marriage and passing down properties and homes down. But in addition to that, I don't know how it is in other places, but here in Texas, there are here in Houston, there are certain neighborhoods that you had black people from old who did own properties, but their progeny, well,
And gone.
yeah, yeah, they didn't do very basic things like keep the taxes up on the houses
Yeah.
while driving on rims and all of that other stuff.
Or they
So,
sold it, or they sold the house. They figured that the three kids who inherited the house could split, $120,000, and hey, we could be hood rich for 3 months. Like that's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why they sold it.
yeah,
And then somebody, let's just say a white person moved in, bought the house, even if they ain't live in it, even if they just had got somebody renting it right now, eventually that's going to be paid off, and it's going to be a house that's in the family that somebody in the family can, in the future can live in, rent free. Or it could just be, a little income generator, charging somebody, depending on where the house is located, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 rent, for so that's just more income coming in for the rest of your life. But again, most of the time the wealth is not money you can just reach out and grab. But either way it goes, yeah, that's it's tied up in houses, tied up in houses.
yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, it's difficult to you think about the idea of a house or a home that's a long term asset of value. And typically speaking, not in all cases, but typically speaking, that's something that a traditional family seeks out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
unless you're Patrice Cullors, she sought it out too, but she
Well,
just
yeah.
went about it a different way.
Hmm.
So-
Right on, right on, right on. Great Britain
Well,
says,
she was
"LOL."
providing for a clan. It's almost the same thing. It won't be the family
Ooh.
model. It's going to be the clan model, and that's a different kind of approach to life.
Yeah, and that's how they view family. They view it as a clan, not an actual family. Yeah, but we're not even about to get into the part today that we made them take down from their website. We taking credit. We taking credit. But Great Britain in the building says, "LOL, white gentrification." They cry. No, that ain't the one I meant to read. He was okay. It was something he was saying that a lot of black people sell when it comes to gentrification. And my thing is, I own my house. I hope they gentrify it, and I hope they do some gentrification near me. And I'm holding out until they hope they build a big ass a whole bunch of luxury shit around my house.
Praying for gentrification.
I'm holding out for I'll need $1 million for my little shack. That's what if you want to put a Starbucks right here, god damn it, it's gonna cost you $1 million up front. But anyway. But we are joined home before we go to brother Xavier. We got Dane C in the building. He says financial crisis was in 2006, explains the drop. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me see. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what he's throwing out there. 2006. That was the drop. Yeah. That could be. That could be. A lot of people lost their house around that time, but I mean, if they were upside down on a mortgage, I don't know if that counts as wealth in their favor. But I mean, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it would be a dip. Go up. I want to see if white people dipped during that financial crisis. Go up. Whoever has
You
control.
said go up where? Hold on.
Go. Just scroll up so we can see
Go to the white side. All
what
right, let me
happened to
see.
white people around too. Holy shit, they
Oh
dipped
yeah,
like a
everybody
motherfucker.
dropped. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody took a hit,
We
bro.
just
Everybody took a
we
hit.
just dipped black people and Hispanics. We just dipped a little bit, but because they had
Yeah.
more to lose, they lost a lot, man. That was go back up. Let me see that. That's
Well, you could argue that the crisis was centered in the white economics. They're talking about banking and all this high finance stuff that fell apart. So it hit y'all first, and then the trickle down. By the time it trickled down to black folk, we was already poor. We couldn't get even more poor than poor.
yeah. But man, that's they on suicide watch for that kind of drop. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was some suicides. Jumping out of buildings and stuff like when the
Yeah,
stock
yeah.
market crashed in 29.
Yeah. But Leon 008 in the building, he says, we all a family that put loans they could not afford to bail out our bum asses cousins out of jail. A bum ass cousin out of jail. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I couldn't understand what he was saying. We all a family that put loans they could not afford to bail. Okay. All right, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. It was kind of jumbled up. Yeah, I got to read the super chats before y'all send them. But Nick Taylor in the building says the second house / land purchase I knew the elderly couple that owned it got it via their son in a tax lien. Own it outright with 7 acres open land. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. All right.
Were you on that? Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Well, no, I was about to
No,
pass it to brother Xavier, but you can go ahead and throw something out there if you want to. If you want to, go ahead.
no. I just wanted to see the drop in that graph again compared to the drop within black people or black families. Wow. So it really wasn't that dramatic,
No,
huh?
I mean
So
the people who had more to lose lost the most. But
Yeah.
we talk about isn't that's when they talk about those loans they targeted black people on.
I mean, no, think about it like this. This is actually a great heist. If you think about it, at the top of that peak, you got all the white people giving out loans to the black and brown people at the bottom. And then when all the brown people at the bottom defaulted, they only lost a little bit of money, but the people who gave out the loans, they took a bath. They got all the haircuts, bro.
You know something, and I don't know. This is just off the top of the head, and maybe I need to think about it more. But I'm just kind of looking at this graph, and I see how okay, the people at the top here, the blue line, they good grief, they almost went down to where they started here at the 143,000. Um, so there was this huge loss of wealth.
Mhm.
Isn't it? I find it kind of interesting how when it comes to the marriage talk, as it were, uh, we look at the graph at the bottom. There wasn't much of an investment in um, that type of lifestyle, and so there was just a little bit of a loss. But usually, when people from the strata at the bottom are talking about the lifestyle of up top, they are referencing the huge losses when it comes to things like divorce and all those other things. But they've never experienced any of those things. This is kind of odd to me that you look at the lifestyle of other people who have experienced these, I would say, these losses, but you don't know what it means to be invested in any of that. Maybe I'm making a wrong correlation, Bernard, but I'm gonna think about that a little bit more. I'm curious as to why that mindset comes up. Um, why look? I'll think about it a little bit more. Let me give it over to Teapot.
Brother Xavier in the building. Shout out to you. Thank you for coming on up, being a part of this. And Edward Anderson, you said you wanted, I guess I emailed it to you. You didn't get the link when I put it in the chat. But come on up, Ed. But right now we going to Brother Xavier. Go ahead. You have the floor. You have the mic. And moderators, y'all know what to do. Drop links in the chat room of the gentleman on the panel. But Brother Xavier, you got the floor. You got the mic.
Peace, brother Bernard, brother Conservative, my brother Supreme. You listen to this kind of stuff, right? And like you said earlier, you said something profound earlier, brother Bernard, when you said that black people think that, long as we, remain, 10, 15% of the population, we cool to do all this other stuff. And you might want to trim this section out because now I'm about to go into a portion of the show that would be referred to as black folks as coon talk. Now, if this is what a lot of us don't understand, I think we do understand it, but we hide from it, right? If I have $100 and you have $1,000, if we both blow 10% of our money every week, I'm only blowing $10 of my money. You will be blowing 100. So it's pretty normal. It's common sense to understand that there are going to be more white people on welfare, more white people that are poor, for the simple fact that there are more white people.
Mm-hmm.
But see, black people, this is what we want to do, right? We will fight hard to say that we are not the worst at something. That's where the whole white people do it too. That's where all that shit comes from. Like you said, there's less of us. So the gross numbers are going to be smaller. I mean, if I got 1,000 people in my army and you got 10,000 people in your army, if half of my army dies, that's 500 people. If half of your army dies, that's 5,000 people. It's pretty simple math and statistics, but black folks think statistics aren't real numbers. It don't matter. We can fall back on the gross numbers. Why? Because we can always say We can always say, oh, they do it too, and there's more of them than it is of us. But this is the thing. What if we were even with other people, like white folk? There's like what, 160 million white folk? There's like 40 some odd million of us. What if it was 160 million of us and 160 million of them? Now what? Now what? Would our numbers be higher then? Our gross numbers? Or likewise, if they were the minority, they were only 10, 15, 20% of the population, and we were a greater amount of the population, what would the numbers look like then? So I think we need to stop falling on this white people do it too crap. We have to stop this, man. All right? Because let's be honest here. Percentage wise, we as black folks find ourselves with the worst percentages. That's just the truth. No matter how people get on here and to try to finagle the numbers and, to talk about how, why it's this way. See, that's what we hang our hat on, right? We hang our hat on the fact that there's reasons for why we are this way. We like to talk more about the cause of these dysfunctional things than the dysfunctional things. That's where we get all this backlash from, oh, well, y'all don't know why this is like that. Slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, all this other kind of nonsense. Because we are so stuck on the so-called causes of why we are this way, as opposed to us being this way. And we've been hung up there for more than 3 decades. I know, because I'm older than everybody up. I'm probably older than all y'all combined, right? And the stuff I hear now in 2022, I heard in 1992, I heard in 1982, I heard in 1972, and somehow we are still there. We're still there. So I just can't buy into this whole, it's because of this, it's because of that. I mean, I cannot buy into it anymore. I would entertain solutions to this or that, as opposed to hanging my hat on the goddamn causes of this or that, Negroes. But that's all.
Good stuff. Always good. X always dropping bombs on them. But the Kobe 42 in the building says Michael Burry talked about subprime mortgages and credit default swaps that were a heist. The trouble really started in 2003. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Fun facts back in here with another one says B-dubs are willing to destroy their families and communities for $10K or less in child support. Let's go there. I don't know if we was getting there on the. I don't know if we're gonna circle back to child support in this show. We got a number of things we covering. I don't know if we I don't even know if we're gonna factor that one in, to tell you the truth, but it might come up. Great Britain in the building with a $10 super chat. He says, talk to him, X. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the stream. Thank you, each and every one of you. Make sure you hit the like button. The speaker that was Xavier, type in Prophet of Thought series, TPOT Media. That's who was speaking. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to him, because the things that you heard him saying there, you will hear
only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
You like how I integrated that in like that, X? Don't you like that?
Oh yeah, that never gets old, brother Bernard. It never gets old, man.
but no doubt. All right. Let's see. Where we at? All right. So Hood Conservative, you got something else on the docket ready to go. More
I'm going right for the jugular.
more fun facts and stats. What we got
Yeah,
here? What we got
fun
here?
with numbers. Fun with
Oh shit!
numbers.
You gonna
Let's
no no
go.
no no no. This is a feel good. This is a feel good family show, and here you go trying to bring out dead babies. Okay.
Listen, I wasn't even going to use that phrase. You did that, but I'm just asking the question. No, I'm not even asking the question. I am reading the words on the screen. This is not me asking the question. These are the wonderful women of blackdemographics.com. I assume it's a bunch of women. And they
That
asked
run
the
this
question.
website. I didn't
Yeah,
know. Actually, it's a brother that run this website.
he might own it, but is it only him?
Well, okay. I'll just say this. I heard Obsidian say that a black man, actually created this and does this. Now,
Okay.
given our history, chances are he probably at this point probably has a team of women working for him right now.
You know what I'm talking about.
moving the levers behind the scenes, So I don't know. It's gonna be talking about black demographics and feelings in a little bit. That's what they're going to be talking about. It's going to be less stats and more I feel like going on probably real soon on this website. But either way, but go ahead. So what we got here? Do African American women have the most abortions?
Okay, let's read on. White women have the most abortions of any race/ethnic group, but black women are overrepresented, making up 27.6% of all abortions, while only comprising 14.9% of all women in the nation. Let me read that again. 27.6% of all abortions, while only comprising 14.9% of all women. That is roughly double their rate. You're performing at double your capacity. Outstanding. At 14.9% of all women in the nation, giving them the highest abortion rate in the United States.
I never liked the word overrepresented, but I mean, they explained what it is. Overrepresented means basically more than your percentage rate, more than your population percentage rate. That's what overrepresented mean. And I hate when that word is thrown out there, because it's always thrown out there in a dismissive way. It's not really saying exactly what it is. So I am glad that they put it in plain English, what they mean by overrepresented. But all right. Oh, they're putting the question why on the table.
No. Well, speaking of being overrepresented, it says African American women are also overrepresented in 4 of the major factors that lead to abortion. So apparently they've nailed it down.
Stop.
No. I am reading. This is not me. Don't tell me to stop. Tell them to stop. Don't do that. Why do people always want me to not read what I find in the world?
Abort.
Okay, now that we've gotten past that outburst from SKC, that was unlike you, by the way. There are 4 major factors that lead to abortion. Okay, so they nailed down the 4 causes. 1, unintended pregnancies. 2, relationships. 3, lack of contraception use. And 4, poverty. Now, that last one is tricky. Like poverty, like you're just too poor to have the baby. All right, well, whatever. It's not my body. It's not my choice.
Unintended pregnancies. Okay. Oh, let me just read it. Okay. African American women are also overrepresented in the 4 major factors that led to abortions. Okay, so
how is relationships just a factor? Like, just broadly, relationships.
That's what I was unintended pregnancies. Like, they need to explain what they mean by relationships. Are they saying they're in more relationships, or they're not in relationships? And that's what's I mean, they could just kind of jumble that into whatever the unintended pregnancy thing. I mean, lack of contraception use. I mean, that is straightforward, because that's just saying that they don't use contraception. It's not. See, I thought they were going to word it like lack of access to proper contraception. I thought they was going to say that, and I was going to be like, come on now. But they just said lack of contraception use. They're just saying, hey, they're not using it. Poverty is an all-encompassing reason that I don't
that just
truly know what to even do with that one. So relationships and poverty, I don't I don't understand what they're talking about right there.
Well,
But Mr.
well,
Barlow in the building, he says libs don't like to argue that more whites are killed by cops. That is a true statement that more whites are
um,
killed by cops than blacks, even though there are more whites than blacks. Why they don't use the same logic with everything else? That is true. That is true. They do flip the argument around depending on who's in the hot seat. That is very true. So yeah,
I'm
those
reading.
folks. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say this. I'm reading this thing, and it's almost like a word problem. I see an equation here. Why do black women have the most abortions, right? Don't read it straightforward from that point. Read it backwards. Because they're poor, they don't use condoms, and they can't have proper relationships, so they have unintended pregnancies.
Stop! 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 Stop!
You gotta read it backwards.
It's a math problem. It's a life problem in words.
They confuse us by putting it forward like that. I'm saying, well, you
You see what I mean?
it's perfect.
Okay, could you repeat that one more time, His Honor? I just
Oh, that made my
Okay,
back hurt.
pay attention, class. Why do black women have the most
make
abortions?
make it clip worthy.
Okay, according to the ladies at according to the people at blackdemographics.com, black women have the most, African American women have the most abortions because they're poor, they don't use condoms, and they can't form proper relationships, so they have a lot of unintended pregnancies.
That is that is the reason why. That there it is. So they weren't lying to us.
And this segment of the Bernard Riley Show is brought to you by Coon Talk. Thank you very much.
Oh man. But they're attempting to explain what they mean. It looks like, so number one, they say unintended pregnancies were more likely to have an abortion. Okay, percentage who had abortion because of unintended pregnancy. Okay, so they're saying 50% of the abortions were because of unintended pregnancies. They saying 8. Is that 85 or 8? I can't. Okay, I can't tell what they're saying. It's like 80-5% of women having abortions. Having abortions were not married. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's the relationship.
85, yeah, 85% of the women having abortions were not married. So yeah, you got it.
Okay, okay, cool. National percentage of all women 15 and up who were not married. Okay, I see right there. Okay. Fewer black women. Oh wow, the contraception usage. That's interesting. Go down to that.
Yeah, I had to zoom out a little bit. Oh, what just happened?
Now we got blue screen.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Sorry.
And we're done.
There we go. No, I got it. I'm coming. Here we go. Number 3.
All right. Using contraceptive method, even those who are at high risk of unintended pregnancy. All right. So they're at high risk of unintended pregnancy, and they use contraceptives less. Okay.
I have a question. And excuse me if I'm slow. What exactly makes you at a higher risk for an unintended pregnancy? How do you qualify for that stat?
I think poverty. I'm about to read them backwards. What did it say? Poverty.
That is such a made up stat, though.
Poverty. You don't use contraceptives. You can't use. You can't form proper relationships. Therefore, you have unintended pregnancies. So that was put them at high risk. So yeah. About half, 49.4% of all abortions, 29% black females, 70% all females. What is that? Go up real quick. I can't. We're missing. Okay, yeah, we're missing something. Okay.
Let me zoom
Oh,
out just a little bit and read the whole block. All right.
okay, yeah,
It
women.
says,
Okay, women with family incomes less than 100% the federal poverty level accounted for about half of all abortions. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
they
Wow,
drift.
conservative. That
wait
that
a minute. It
sentence
says,
that you read backwards. I would like to put that. I think that when you read it next time for me, because I'm gonna get with you about this. I need you to put the most educated class before each before each data point.
All right. That
yeah, that reality is brutal, man. This is the problem with numbers. It's like they look dry on paper. It's like just reading numbers. It looks like nothing. It's like when you're staring at that matrix screen. It means nothing, but I'm cipher all of a sudden. And I can see the girl with the baby in these numbers, and it's crazy.
here's the deal. One, that they're the most educated thing. I mean, come on, like that. This website also is like the biggest debunker of that. Just with just raw, just looking at the raw percentages of the percentage of women who get
Raw.
bachelor's degree. Yeah, raw. Yeah.
I like it raw.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Yeah, I mean that's been long debunked. That's been long debunked. And so a lot of people still say it. I still hear a lot of black men still saying that one, but that one's been long debunked. But we got Pablo Fresco Bar and Edward Anderson in the building. So we about to go to Pablo. What you got on this, man? What you got?
What's going on? What's going on? So I see we've been digging down into the quantitative data, meaning the numbers, the
Mhm.
quantitative. Now I'm going to give you the qualitative, the human side, the stories behind it. So from a black family perspective, just went through this. You're talking about real estate and home ownership and the wealth creation, the wealth gap, marriage, and the whole kit that go along with creating that wealth gap. Well, we just sold my grandmother's uh, property in Virginia,
Mhm.
and before we got to this point, um, when my grandmother passed away, she left my mother 2.4 something acres, and she left my uncle 1 acre and the home. Right, 1 acre in the house. He got 2 acres. She got, and while they were owning this property, um, they decided to rent it out to family. Right, my uncle decided in short order that he no longer wanted to be a landlord, right?
Mhm.
Because the family stiffed them on some money. Didn't they paid like the first 2 months of the rent, and then they stopped paying, and he had to evict them. My uncle is a lifelong bachelor. Um, he was not very interested in business affairs. He was more concerned with partying, hanging out, doing his thing. He very much part of the pump and dump lifestyle at 70 years old.
Ta.
Yeah. I'm here. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, hey, I'm
Wow.
just telling you
Go
like it
for
is.
it.
You trying to
You
do
did,
Tom Brady of the pump and dump game.
well, yeah, something like that. So yeah, he's basically not the most astute in the world of business and generating wealth. He's more immediate gratification, right?
Mhm.
So he decides he doesn't want to put another tenant in the house. He didn't want to be a landlord, and that was pretty much it. Well, guess what? Since he doesn't want to be a landlord and the home is paid for, guess what comes twice a year? The property tax. Once in July and once in December at the end of the year. And it has to be paid.
So guess who has to pay it? My mom and he got to come out of their pocket because he doesn't want to be a landlord. This is what forced the sale of the family property. Now, here comes the sale. Now, meanwhile, some years pass and the house becomes dilapidated. Why? Because no one's living in it. And over time, I work in this area for the city government. When a house is not lived in, things start to go down. There are break-ins, the systems of the house aren't running, the heating and air, and it begins to deteriorate fast. To the point they had to board it up. And soon I told them, hey, the next thing is the city's going to come and tell you you're going to have to demo that house. And so I had to get on my game, and I got another realtor on the case to sell the house. And when I chose the realtor, the home got sold. The home had a buyer and was sold within 6 months when it took them 6 or 7 years. Now, here comes the sale. Well, guess what? My mom has 2 acres. He only has 1. The house is virtually worthless. The people are only buying the land for the land, not the house. It's a developer who's going to build a residential neighborhood on this property. So, my uncle now is what? He's upset because the deed of gift that my grandmother left before she died, rather than do a will, she gave them, she wrote out in a deed who was to get what. So guess who has the lion's share of the money? My mother, not him. But had he kept the home and been, astute enough, a business person to continue to rent the home, it would have paid for itself and giving him residual income of probably no less than $1,200 a month. But this is the type of mentality that exists in a lot of Black families, which prevent you from building wealth when you have one person who is uncooperative and not astute enough to want to do the minimal amount of legwork to build that kind of wealth. But see, this is what happens. There are people who have families who want to do these type of things, but they got that one that won't cooperate, that only wants to get a check and go about their business and go party, go buy some Hennessy and do what they do.
Yeah.
Well, cooperation sounds like a family-related skill, Pablo.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we had a family. My grandfather built that house in the 1940s. He had a mom and a dad.
Wait. You are you trying to tell me that that house wasn't blown up by the supremacists?
No, he built it with his own
All right,
hand.
can we?
I got you, Ed.
All right.
No, that is actually the story in the numbers, though. This is why when you start looking into the numbers, we're told a narrative on television about how Black wealth has been, oppressed or whatever, to use a broad term. But then when you get into the numbers and the actual people, no, a lot of it's just been trickled away.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
Pablo
FAC,
only told half of the story though, because he didn't tell the story about how his uncle got to F on him.
so
That's
FKC, another note. My grandfather bought the property from a white man who allowed him to pay him $365 in 1941 over time, meaning my grandfather paid him month by month by month until he paid him the $365, and then the white man signed the deed over to him. He didn't stiff him and say, "Ha ha ha, you dumb nigga." No, he signed it over to him.
It's disheartening, man. It's
Racist.
disheartening to hear these
Jim
stories, man.
Crow era.
I hear a lot of this stuff down here, man, where, people's grandparents, man, had these houses that were in the family for years and years and years, and the house is paid for, some of the houses built, and these fools get it. And it ends up getting taken because they let the damn tax note balloon up to $25,000, and somebody comes in and pays the tax lien and eventually comes and get the house. I mean, I hear it all the time, man. They let a lot of the wealth that black people had that was left by their grandparents and great grandparents, their grandkids and their great grandkids literally gave it away. Literally just gave it away. It's sad.
Yeah. Yep. We got Edward Anderson in the building. Go ahead. What's on your mind? Ed, you muted. Edward Anderson, paging Edward Anderson.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I'm here. It's just like, I'm not trying to, I get it, All right. Sorry. No, I had to come back to the damn my headset. All right, so I don't even know where we're at. Y'all talk about real estate, talk about motherfuckers.
No, go ahead and take it. Go ahead and take it back. Go ahead and take it back to whatever prompted you to come on up.
I will say this just to piggyback off what Pablo said. This is where Negroes lying and sweeping shit under the carpet for the next generation to figure that shit out, or if they do what Pablo said, at least try to say what kind of give an accurate account of certain things that happen. Maybe because somebody will take the lesson and maybe learn from it. Then people like Pablo get shouted down because you're not telling the narrative. I guess that's what the other dude was talking about as far as you mean the white people didn't blow it up. I mean, that shit did happen. But the truth is, I always say this, and this is my opinion, white supremacy or racism exists, but black people allow it to run like a well-oiled machine. What that means is black people don't talk about the unforced errors, as they say in baseball, and they want to charge everything up to white supremacy. Everything ain't white supremacy. We need to fix what we can't control, which is the unforced errors, and there's a lot of those to fix. The problem is people don't want to have that conversation where it then becomes this kind of absolute pushback against this absolute kind of unrecognition of the fucking up. Like in my family, it wasn't my grandparents that fucked the shit up. It was, or my grandparents' generation. It was my parents' generation, not my parents, but my cousins and stuff, that they wanted to basically, sell everything off in probate to get a check. And it was a couple. It wasn't just one. It was a couple of them like that. And actually, most of them were like that. So, and then, even in where I'm at, in North Carolina, and this ain't gonna be drawn out, a lot of them sold that land. They had farmland, they own whole towns, a lot of this stuff. There's even a PBS documentary in about Raleigh, about like a lot of these homes that are like extremely luxury, extremely expensive, some most expensive side of town. That was all black. So it's a lot of that. But see, what happens is, and you were talking about a dude in this case, a black male. And so again, we will go, if it's black men's fault, like if it's a dude's fault, we don't try to sugarcoat that. We don't circle the wagons. We say, who fucked up the play? Not no, oh, it's a woman, so we need to try to act like the play wasn't really fucked up, or there's somewhere else that could have been gone. No, we say who fucked up the play, and we tell the story. Versus with women, they want to tell narratives. And again, and I said that before, and that's the difference. So I'm glad that you told that story, Pablo, because a lot of us have those stories. And unfortunately, black people don't want to talk about that shit. They just don't. And this is why the shit happens over and over. Now, as far as the black demographics piece, because I had it on mute, but I was in the chat. So I was giving some good information in the chat. What did y'all cover? Give me a quick synopsis.
Everything.
I mean, yeah, we covered some stuff now from the black and white wealth gap.
That you want me to comment on.
The black women's. The one thing I kind of looked at that I think the numbers bore out was when we were talking about the black women being educated, and how, in my opinion, the numbers prove that for the majority of Black women who do get educated, right? We're specifically talking about that crowd because the poverty numbers are low on its own. But for girls who go get educated, the majority of them do not want to be married. It seems like just them being educated makes them less likely to marry.
Yeah, because
There's
they're
only a
being
small percentage.
indoctrinated. Because they're being indoctrinated. They're not being educated. I mean, culturally, other women are taught that degree don't mean shit. If you ain't got no man degree, what's the point? What are you passing that information down to? And that gets enforced in those families for the most part. Black families is the complete opposite. It's a culture issue. We all know that, and we know the whys behind that. My question is, did y'all deal with this fucking 80% of fucking kids? What happened yesterday? Did y'all see that in the Black demographics or what?
No, state that fully. I'm not sure what you mean.
80% of Black men got kids.
Oh no. I mean, well, that we know that's not.
Did y'all look up?
You can't even suss that out from any of the numbers we've come across in this. Like, there's no way.
I first heard Court. Like, to be fair, and that's not what Jada said, but I heard Courtney say that, and I heard a couple other women mimic that. Because that's another thing, man. A lot of chicks, they just mimic shit that they hear. And so I take people out to even at least look at the stats, even if they misread them. So I didn't know if y'all wanted to look at that because of what happened yesterday, since y'all had the site up.
No, this wasn't exactly. It looks like it's connected to the show yesterday, but it really wasn't. But we mentioned Black demographics yesterday, and then Hood Conservative went and checked out Black demographics for the first time, and he was like, "Oh shit, let's just thumb through this and do a show on it." So it wasn't really this isn't a response to that yesterday.
No, I know.
However, excuse me. However, she did initially throw out 75% of Black men had kids. Then when she crunched the numbers, it came up to 58%, which was a higher number than what we were initially saying. And so I just said, okay, the jury is out. We're going to look into it. Mike and Vince Perkins, who you see commenting down there at the bottom of the chat, he just did a video on that where he emailed me and he told me that based off what he came up with, what he saw, the numbers were a lot lower. So I'm going to share the link to his video at the end of the show. I'm going to drop it in the chat room at the end of the show so everybody can go watch that. Yeah. And I guess the conversation can continue over there.
Could I respond to a story that tells a super chat?
Okay, well, let me see. A story to tell in the building with the super chat. He says, these folks also raise the taxes to force you to lose the property. Oh my goodness. Force you to lose the property or sell. I'm in probate court right now fighting my cousins.
Okay.
In our case, saying two different things, man. Like, you're kind of saying like they raise property tax, but at the end of the day, you're fighting your cousins as far as what to do, which sounds like the story that I had. So here's my thing. Here's the problem that I have. There's this dude, any dude that's saying white supremacy, like they don't use these tactics, like motherfucker, the interstate highway, I can literally take my ass and drive up the highways and you can literally see where certain people live and don't live. Historically, I can show you. So I can show you tactics that's been done. So yes, that shit happens. So anybody trying to act like that shit does not happen is on that bullshit. But
like what don't happen that they don't. Wait a minute. You saying that the thing that you're saying that happens is them raising taxes on a house?
I'm not talking about that. Like these like when you run a highway through they do shit on purpose, like especially back in those days to disrupt shit. And he's talking
about right now. He's talking about right now. I just want to make sure I understand what's
that's said. Not what I am saying is I'm talking about in the past as far as right now, what they're doing right now is gentrification. That's what they're doing right now. Now, here's the problem. The problem is the people that lose are not necessarily the people that that gentrification is more of an economic thing. And yeah, if they target certain races, it's because those certain races are in the demographics of they don't own where they are. And even Hispanics who traditionally have less money than we do, they typically network with each other on stuff like that. So it's harder because the way the developers are looking is the developers look at the easiest places that can give them the most profit, easiest places to buy up and get that are in the places that they want to get. A perfect example. I'll say this in a second. I know, Pablo, you want to respond to that. So go ahead and respond because I don't want to go into the soliloquy.
So to a story to tell, it's not that we couldn't pay the taxes. We paid the taxes for 7 or 8 years, right? The problem is we wouldn't have had to come out of our pocket to pay for it if we didn't have a family member who was financially illiterate and did not understand the value of what he had been given. Had he understood the value of the house that he had been given, we wouldn't have had to come out of our pocket to pay the taxes. The home would have paid for itself. But because he's financially illiterate, interested in immediate gratification, and unwilling to cooperate, we ended up having to sell the house.
So,
And he was the one who was at a deficit.
but I hear that, but like the communicate that better. At the end of the day, from based on the story that I extrapolate, you renting a house. Yes, you want to rent a house for profit. But a lot of times, if people rent a house and they're not making like a big profit, because somehow, people expect that, which is kind of a sign of financially literacy too. The purpose of renting a house is because the value of the home. I'm talking about the person that made the super chat, not you, Pablo.
Right.
The person that, because the value can go up.
This
And
home
it's a
was
part
paid
of
for,
it's a maintenance issue, like what you were talking about. There's layers of why you do it. So even though what you're communicating to me, what I'm hearing is there was an inconvenience of what he went through, a bad experience because he got a fucked up person. Which the lesson in that is that the shit out of the people you get next time, and don't be afraid to be an asshole if they fuck you with your shit, at all. But he said, no, fuck this. I'm not doing this. Now, it'd be different if you had a lot of houses, or if you had like maybe 3 or 4, some shit like that. I get it. Yeah. So I'm just saying where I could understand. But if you're talking about one house, it's like, goddamn. And then this is one of the things where if you don't want to do it, this is where you can have other family members get more involved. And then give them an incentive to do that. I don't know if it's a shit. Get a family member in that motherfucker and living in there. If it's just about maintaining it, and say, hey, you gonna pay cheap rent because you want to get X, Y, and Z paid him. There's a lot of things. So I get what you're saying, but like to communicate that to them, because the way he responded was they raising taxes now, and then I'm fighting with probate court. That don't even make sense, because it's like, what are you really saying? Because taxes go up. Taxes go up.
Yeah. So in this situation, it was pure profit. The home has no mortgage,
and that's what makes that so crazy. Oh yeah, that makes it even. That makes it way.
Yeah, it's no excuse for that. You're an idiot if you don't understand that you own a house that's paid for. Property taxes has to be paid. You can come out of pocket to pay the property taxes, or you could have a shitty tenant pay the property taxes. I'll take the shitty tenant.
Yeah, some of you niggas are telling on yourselves, but based on certain. I'm not trying to pick on certain people, but this is kind of basic. If you kind of,
so
unless you're in New York.
My point was, in black families, there are Negroes like this.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Please,
hold on,
that's every story.
All right, yeah, let's go.
Every family has that. Yeah.
Let's go to Christian Hutchison in the building. Thank you for that super chat. Thanks for coming on up. But you said you wanted to speak on this real estate aspect of all of this really quickly, because you are somewhat of an expert on this. So go ahead. What you got?
Yeah. So before I get on the real estate stuff, someone was asking about where we can get the data. The data for a lot of this stuff is held in the census website. The census website has a lot of the raw data that you can probably just use some SQL queries or some Excel and put it together. That's first thing. Then you also have some BLS data. They have raw Excel files you can take out. And then if you need help putting it together even further, the University of Michigan has one of the leading demographic institutes. You can call them if you're not doing it for profit. They'll give you support on how to manipulate and look at certain data tables to find certain information directly. So FYI. So anyway, regarding the wealth and real estate stuff, people have to, when it comes to money, you have to decide, are you going to hold on to it, or you're going to let it get away? Like, we had a situation kind of like that in my family, and I decided that, so my dad got remarried, and his current wife's kids are basically a bunch of losers. That's what it comes down to. And I knew that if my dad's health was not very well, And I knew that there was a risk of if something was to happen to him, everything that he had, whether he owned a home, he basically owned a home. I knew that home was going to go to his wife, and then she was going to give it to her loser kids. And I said, well, that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to let that happen. So what I did was I basically, played the game to where I got my dad to pull the equity out of his house and put it into an LLC that me and him controlled. So that way it got the equity to the house away from his wife. Okay. And then, I mean, I did some maneuvering. It was over 3 or 4 years. Like you have to decide if you see people are weak links in the situation, you got to attack it because you got to keep these people away from the money because like, Pablo was saying, he was dealing with that family member. You just got to get cutthroat, and you have to decide you're going to cut them. You're going to cut them out the process, and then you can use legal means to get rid of them. I mean, there's ways to do this if that's what you really want, and I mean that's how I went about doing it. I mean, it better as I looked at it, it was better for me to have the money and have control of it because I knew what to do with it because I knew that my dad wasn't going to just out and out cut his wife out of the equity of the house. So that's how come I had to get him to pull the equity out the house the way I did and put it into an investment property without her name on it. So, I mean, that's how I pulled it off.
Yeah, usually what happens if you do that or do all of that, and you got to be smart about how you do it, and then people you trust, that was you and your dad, so that was a different situation. But like you pull that shit, and there's a lot of landmines in that shit where they'll fuck. You'll be like Xanatos's clutch, where everybody you ain't black as far as your family member is concerned. Luckily you had your stuff was at least together enough in that situation where you could run that play, but that's a play where you got to think of the social dynamics in your family because all it takes is one snitch or something. And even if you got the most money, they don't give a fuck because all they go it's a lot of that goes on, and it's not enough people talking about that because again, this is what I was saying in the chat. And I'm not even putting it. Notice how well you're talking about the kids. Notice how we're being gender neutral on this. We're not really saying with the women or anything like that, but truth be told, women are fucking hyper consumers today. They are. And yeah, when there's knuckleheaded dudes, yeah, you can be real direct with that. But with the women, it's all is you got to dance around the bullshit because everything with them, it's almost like an undiagnosed like mental condition. That's how crazy the hyper consumerism has become. You even literally have niches called like the Black female leisure movement and shit. You got women telling you $100,000 ain't enough. And you got women saying absolute crazy shit. And they're trying to lean on the tradition of black women. Black women were never truly better with money. It's just that men didn't focus on that because labor was a lot more valuable. So it was about working hard to regenerate it. But today, oh man, like please, man, all these chicks, even the ones that talk about they'll help you build, man, they don't really know shit. Like if you really talk to them, unless they already in real estate or that's something they really do, they don't know jack shit. So a lot of this thing that
I'll say it's a small percentage. They make it seem like everyone will help you in that regard, but no, it's a very small percentage that actually will whatever you got going on, they got the talent, knowledge, insight, and wherewithal to help add to what you got going on.
Because if you did in this world, you would have like if the women that really know that shit, they're able to network with other men as far as connecting the gaps, aka money and stuff like that. Because in this world, in this country, these women, they will get help because they, especially black women, they stand out. And usually if they know that much, they also usually got some kind of social value, meaning they're not complete bitches, meaning dudes will actually help them because it's not like helping dead body because it's reciprocation there. I'm not even talking about in a relationship. I'm just talking about from a business perspective. Because think about it. These women are always talking about networking, going to networking events. They always doing that. So they find the motherfuckers that got the money. And a lot of these niggas, especially in the black community, they on some, I want to help the women, da-da-da-da. So that's how I know a lot of them be straight capping when they talk about what they think they know.
Well, I want
to give some numbers to that story you just told. If you could share my screen, will you get a second, Bernard?
Well, no, I was real quick. SKC, sure. What do you got? I'm gonna get to what you got going down there in a second. But I want to get see what SKC was bringing up right here real quick, and then we're gonna get back on it.
Sure. And I'll share the site with you in the back, but I thought it was interesting. It was an article that I found, but it gave the data set of black people and their home ownership during the Jim Crow era, and then post the 1968 Fair Housing Act that came out of the Civil Rights Act. And in a lot of these places, you take,
Oh
for
yeah, hold on.
instance,
Let me
like
get this Brandon out of the way because I think we missing part of the. Okay, that's now we can see what's going on.
So,
so like just that how you were stating. Well, just take for instance your state in Michigan, and I'll take and the other this one right here is just the United States as a whole for all black people. But in Michigan, that's the orange bar. It started out at in 1940, 23% of black people owned homes. By the time 1970 came around, 53% of black people owned homes in Michigan. And
Mhm.
then ever since the Civil Rights Act of 1968, that went down to
Wow.
41%. So people complain about the quote unquote Jim Crow era, but during that Jim Crow era, black people were purchasing homes at an
Well,
astronomical rate.
so
SKC,
I'm gonna
can
tell
you
you what I
explain
think.
that bottom line again? Hold on. That darker line represents what? So the bright orange line is Black America. What is the dark red line?
That's all of Black America in the United States. So all of Black America in the United States, if you just want to take all
So
the
you talk
states
about in
combined,
Michigan versus all of Black America. The red line is all of Black America. The other line is the state that you clicked on.
right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so all of Black America together in like 1940, 23% of Black people owned homes. By the time 1970 came around, that was 42%. And today, with that Civil Rights Act in motion, that line has pretty much been stagnated. It was 42%. Today, it's 41%.
I see.
My thing is,
Well,
look, I
let's
I
let's go.
understand the
Uh,
applying the numbers, and that's fine. But here's the thing: arguing this shit with black people is like arguing religion. It really is. So I prefer to stick like to basically, I'm not the it's racism first folks. I know this ain't about me, but I'm just saying. So when people bring that shit up to me, I want to know what the real story behind it, and then I'll make a determination if
But
that's what it is. And
here's the one for Georgia, Pablo. 1940 in Georgia, 16% owned homes. By 1970, 41% owned homes. That's during the Jim Crow era, and today, 47. So they've only gone up by 6% in the last close to 40 years. Versus in the
Mm.
Jim Crow era, they went from 16% to 41%.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the stuff that I see here. So I'm in Metro Detroit, and I know that I know some guys in Chicago and St. Louis who do real estate stuff. What I see is I have stuff in like inner ring suburbs that historically were maybe non-black working class neighborhoods. What I see all the time is I see black people leaving traditionally black cities and neighborhoods where they were homeowners, and they're deciding to be renters in middle class or lower middle class suburbs because of they want access to maybe what they perceive better schooling, or maybe better public safety, or maybe just the housing stock might be 20 to 30 years newer. Because I see it all the time. Like, I have a couple places in Roseville, Michigan, and I would see people like they were making like $46,000, and they're coming to rent my two-bedroom for $1,200. And I was like, "Oh, where were you staying before?" And they said, "Oh, I had a place over here. It's like on 6 Mile somewhere in Detroit." Not saying it was a great neighborhood, but they owned the home. They said, "Yeah, we sold our home." So you sold your home in Detroit to come rent in the suburbs, 6 miles north. It is not even like a nice area necessarily. It's just not 6 Mile in Van Dyke. Uh, it's really weird. I see that all the time, and it really scratches my head. And then subsequently, once I get my coins together, I can go and buy those same homes again, and then that's what starts the gentrification train.
yeah, And because because they don't see that the houses are getting any value because they don't think it's a lack of thinking long term. Because at the end of the day, you can rent that stuff out. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and I'm not an expert by any means. I know me and Christian, we were even talking a little bit about commercial real estate, but there's things you can do that like basic folks should know. And then this is where I really ask all these folks that they be talking about they be helping the community. What the fuck are you telling these people? Because something like what Christian described, especially when you're talking about like automotive America, you know what I'm saying, the big three, they supposed to be smarter than that, because they had the money. It ain't like it was too many folks getting money for all y'all just to not know, and just because they're not doing the job. What are y'all? We know what y'all was buying. Y'all was buying nigga shit. Some of them, nigga cars and shit. We see them pictures. But
this will be my last thing on this because I know
then we got to move on.
I want that link. Did you put? Is that what's in the back?
Yeah, I'll put it in the back in just a second.
Okay.
But I thought this was interesting because of what is usually talked about with the whole Tulsa thing. Well, in Oklahoma, 1940, 38% of Black people owned homes. By 1970, that had went up to 60%. That's during the Jim Crow era. Today, it's at 40%.
Yeah, Black Wall Street was during the Jim Crow era. Like, that's why it wasn't like, okay, everything was bad. There was no Black Wall Street era and then Jim Crow era. So all the stuff that you're talking about are each of these states have their own stories as to why that is. Even Virginia, you got Richmond, Virginia, which was pretty much the Black version of Charlotte. But yeah, so what you're saying makes sense. That's why it's consistent, because those were those eras. So you're making it sound like, you're making it sound like there was like this Black Wall Street era and people talk about the Jim Crow era. No, the Black Wall Street era wasn't the Jim Crow era.
No, what I was going to say is a lot of that is big economic changes that are, way over the heads of just Black America. Because you're talking about all the industry getting carved out of different pockets of the country in sequence from one region to the next. So like those numbers in the housing market are probably, like you saw the USA total numbers declined in the same period with relative similarity, give or take some percentages, to all the Black state numbers. So it's not just that Black people, declined in that period. And I would give into the argument that there is correlation between those government programs as well, because the government programs and economics and all that are tied together in a different kind of sense. But still, it's bigger than just Black people fell off individually. Like, no, there were big things happening across the country.
Well, yeah, and my thing, here's
all right.
I'll be a 10
real
seconds.
Quick.
My thing is this. I don't want to hear about the racism until we put out everything as far as the false errors. And I'm sure all y'all can agree with that. Even if y'all never want to get to the racism, the first thing that should be always talked about are the unforced errors. If you want to play, let's sweep the shit under the fucking carpet, I would be willing to agree with people to say, then at that point, racism don't exist either. If we not talking about the shit you did, we not talking about that. Well, what about, no, fuck that. I want to hear the unforced errors, then we talk about that and together. If you're not willing to talk about one, we're not talking about the other. I'm sure y'all
not gonna happen, brother Hurricane.
Yeah, so and that's why I understand why people say talk about racism. That's where I understand why y'all say that.
Yeah, hood conservative. Okay, you got something right here. This probably be the last thing we talk about. We can probably dig like 5 more shows out of just going through blackdemographics.com and talking about the stats on it. But all right, single Black millennials. What's your point, purpose, reason, rhyme and reason bringing this up? What you got here?
Well, no, I was just sort of scanning this, and I think it's a good place to end, because it's like, the millennials are a more relatively current group from 25 to 40. So there's all the Black adults essentially right now. Obviously older than 40 are still out there doing stuff, but it's a good pocket of Black America. And so I just think that there's some realities you can look at in the numbers. And I was thinking about this when Ed was talking about that lack of cooperation that you can expect from the women. And I think it's kind of borne out. So if you look at these middle class numbers right here, technically, when it comes to the lower end, right? So these are the women who marry the least. If you compare this to like that other pie chart we had, the most families in poverty are the single Black women. So that would be these families right here on this end. And there's obviously way more single men down at the bottom of that list. But, the women and the men, they just can't get together at this end. Now, you get a little bit more, I guess, family formation as you get higher up into the middle class, I suppose. But when you start looking at the under 20K, it's interesting. I don't know how this becomes true, but there are actually more Black women who make slightly less than 20K than there are Black men. So it's like Black men are actually making a little bit of money when you start reaching the middle class, trying to rise up into the middle class. Black men seem to be making some money for some reason. But over here, when it comes to between 20 and 50K, Black women are outpacing Black men.
Outpacing or outnumbering?
In the sense that, outnumbering. There are more Black women earning between 20 and 50K than there are Black men. There are at least three out of this 7.6 million sample size. There are at least 300,000 Black women who
That makes
earn.
sense.
But hold on. My question, hold on, real quick. My question when I said outpacing or outnumbering, if you add up all of those numbers and add up all the women, how many more women do you end up with than men who are single? Like that's the question. This is about single Black millennials. Add up all the numbers. How many more women do you have than men? So it's quite natural that
the whole chart is about singles, I think. So I think every number is a single.
No, they're gonna be
no, but what I'm saying is out of that, 7,660,000. What I'm asking is is 4 million is 4 million of them women, and then a remaining 3 million and some change men. So what I'm saying is that's where you're going to see a discrepancy somewhere where the women are going to outnumber and not outpace. If it was an equal, divide that 7,660,000 number by 2, and then you saw disparities, then that would be outpacing. But without that being the case, it would be outnumbering more so than outpacing.
Yeah, but you don't see that demographic split like that until you start to get older. Like it's really.
But no. We're talking about single people. So the married, seen as is more married.
That's what I'm talking about. Like as far as how many Black men are alive versus how many Black women that are alive, that number starts.
This chart doesn't deal with who's alive and who's not alive. This is deal with who's married and who's not married. These are the not married people. So what I'm saying is that when you include married Black men, okay, I guess this is my overall problem with these stats. Men who make more money tend to get married. So it's shaving the better of Black men off of the table and making a comparison with the women. And then so I saw some women talking shit on this one, saying, look at the discrepancy. But I'm like, yeah, the men who make money that would tip the scale on this are taken. This is like
true
what's left. So that
is what made me bring this up specifically. We were talking about the lack of female cooperation. And if you look at this column specifically of Black women who make between 20 and 50K, they're less likely to marry. It seems like that seems to be what's happening across the board. They're less likely to marry as opposed to the men are way more likely to marry. And we've got the numbers on blackdemographics.com to bear it out. The men are just statistically still more likely to marry.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of it, no, I hear what you're saying. At the end of the day, the overall, because I'm going to tell you truth, I'm not fucking, just like how a lot of y'all don't want to argue the racism story with motherfuckers, that's pretty much kind of a signal of, okay, you're not serious. The intent of most of these women is not to be accurate. The intent of most of these women is to try to push a narrative and get you to accept it. And we got dumbass niggas in this space, just like how they fall for it's all racism, and not some of the stuff that Pablo and some of the stories that folks have been told that's behind that, even though they know these stories, but they get up here and be disingenuous. It's the same thing. And I'm talking about all over this conversation, no matter what channel it is. These women, you can tell, like, again, Trey is in the chat. You was there when I was on Pablo shit. And I was talking to whatchamacallit. That was a narrative she was trying to push. And when I went past that and asked questions, you are really realizing what was behind that. And that's the thing. Even with these chicks that claim to be on our side, for the most part, they are pushing narratives. Stats don't give a fuck about what the narrative is. It's just the data. And the problem is the intent. This is why I don't like really having conversations with women too much, because they want to win an argument. They don't really want to have the overall conversation. They want to win just this one argument because they think that unravels everything. Because in their minds, we just lying. We just saying that 50, because I say 53% of men don't have kids. They just think we're saying that just to make black women feel bad or look bad. Not that, oh, that's really what the fuck is going on. And the same thing with these numbers, because like what you were saying, you could break that stuff down. We're not even talking about the women that got college degrees or in debt like a motherfucker. We're not talking about the men that are making under the table work. We're not. It's a lot of stuff in that never gets really talked about. But the women always like to run with shit, and that's what, Bernard, you're talking about, because they are looking for reasons to believe the color purple bullshit they were told. And that's not really that's not a good faith argument.
Where I'm at, I don't care that they're trying to run with a narrative, and I really don't care that they don't care. I will happily use them as a prop to get the right information out there. So that's where I'm at with it. That's what.
Well, to show they have bad, they have bad. They're arguing in bad faith too.
Yeah, I mean they are, and they tend to get exposed of that when the data comes out. Like I showed that I argue in good faith when Jada was showing something that did make it appear to be that I'm still going to check into it some more, but it looked like it appeared to be that 58% of black men had kids. I knew the 75. Wait, easy, Ed. I knew the 75% was some bullshit, but she did show something that I got to look at on that 58%. I'm going to drop a video. I don't know if Mike and Vince Perkins already did it correctly or not. I'm going to drop his shit, and we're going to go check that out after the show, because he just did a premiere. So we're going to go check that out. But I'm all about whatever.
Bernard, I actually have something from the Census Bureau queued up, and I hate to burst bubbles, but I have a stat that is worth examining. I'm not even going to say it, but if you want to look at that Census Bureau about the black birth rates, it's half true, because it's broken down by age rankings, and so it's kind of like you'd have to do some math into the age rankings. It's not simple as just all black men.
But that's the thing too. Like even in that, no, I pull it up if you want. But the thing is too is at the end of the conversation, it was, oh, and this is looking at from this date to this age to this age. That's some shit that should be said in the front end, because we're not skewing the ages to make shit look good. So that is huge. Because you can make the shit whatever the fuck you want to make it. So we're comparing what are the stats presented. We're not creating these stats. Right. And we're comparing that to other races. So what happens is women like, I don't like that number, so I want to find some shit that's skewing the data so it can make it look more in line with what we say. And then the best that somebody has is 5 points. And I'm really talking about that shit with Tawana. I give more of a fuck about you talking to Tawana than what Jada had to say, to be honest. Because at least Jada brought the shit up here. Tawana is on some, you can have 1,000 bodies and black men can't call them a hoe. And here's the thing, I wouldn't care about that, but black be believing that bullshit. We got black men. We got black men that this is where I care about. The black men believing that shit, and then they come to our shit on some bad faith, disingenuous, red pill.
And I'm good with that. I'm good with people coming in believing some bullshit, and then they could get in the ring and they can lose. I'm good with it.
It's tiring once you've done it for like 8 years, but I get it. You grown. Yeah. I mean, I get it from a content perspective. I'm just
I know it's bigger. It's bigger than a content perspective. If we put something out there that we say is the truth, and this is the truth, and somebody disagree, they can come up and they can challenge it. I'm all for that. That ain't even just hashtag content strategy. That's literally how discourse goes. People come up. I mean, look,
I'm not saying that.
If somebody is on some disingenuous bullshit, they will be exposed as being on some disingenuous bullshit, and that is it. And then the truth is put out there for the world to see.
But that's I'm not all for it. And I get what you're saying, but honestly, I'm telling you, these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about the damn truth.
I don't care that they don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about the 400 people watching. I don't care about the disingenuous idiot.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, Ed, I want to kind of get into the numbers with this here, because this is actually from the Census Bureau. And I think it does say something that, I mean, listen, most men have, children. Look, when you break down the numbers, at ages 40 to 49, which is the highest bar, most men have at least some level of children. So
conservative, just so you know, Auntie came up here and talked about this. So this isn't the first time we're seeing this, but go ahead.
no, because it came up, and I just wanted to have the conversation.
Okay, but Auntie, but Bernard, you remember this, right?
Yeah.
Up, yeah. So this isn't this is where what Bernard is talking about with the 50. I'm not trying to speak for you, but the 58% thing and all of that. This is where we saw that it was being the number they were pulling was skewed. So, and what Auntie explained was the number goes up the older you get because it's talking about when people are having kids. So it makes sense the number will be higher. But you got people that's taking this article and saying that 80% of black men once they get the age of 40 they're saying that like most black men got kids. They're trying to remix the shit. And that's kind of what I was complaining about is because, yeah, they get on Bernard shit and he corrects it. But you got niggas, I'm sorry, like E-Black, Clarence, they don't. They just, yeah. Whatever you say, Queen. Yeah, these niggas ain't shit. That's the shit that annoys me. But that ain't got nothing to do with you, Bernard. Anyway, all right, I'm done. I'll shut up.
But that's the thing. Black men aren't even like outpacing other men at some kind of great number when it comes to like how people are. And that's like the point, even bringing up these numbers. Technically, we're not even at the highest end of that stuff. So, Hispanic men really outpace us on that end. But that's the point of like even having these numbers. It's like you bring this stuff up to lie on us. But if you even going by your actual numbers presented, it's like, no. Actually, we track somewhere relatively in the mean as far as all men, and we still ain't the worst.
Yeah, you're even their actual numbers, though, at worst 58%. Here's my thing: how do you get 58%? With 58%, fine. Even though I give you that, where the fuck does 75% come from? Like, there's not a 5 and an 8 and a 7. Yeah. Where does 80? Where does 80% come from? And that's when. And then you got niggas is listening and bitches over there in the bitches sphere, and y'all come over here. That's why I tell y'all stop listening over there because these motherfuckers.
Ed is fired up,
anyway.
Right?
I get tired of hearing the same shit over and over and over and over again. And they ain't got nothing to do with you, Bernard. That's just me, man. Like I said, that Tawana shit annoyed the fuck out of me, man. Well, what is today's femininity looking like? I asked E-Black about that. I said, what the fuck were you asking with that bullshit? As if what? We supposed to accept this bullshit? Anyway, by the way, Bernard, last thing. Hold on. I asked E-Black, what's the percentage of black women that are marriage material? You know what number he gave me, Bernard?
Did he say like 60?
He said 25%. I asked him, what percentage of black women are fucked up? He said 75% out of his mouth. So I said, what the fuck are we arguing about? Well,
that sounds like
it anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, he's in the camp of they fucked up, but go wipe him up anyway.
Yes.
He's in that camp. Yeah,
and I said, why should we do this? And then this nigga started telling me a never-ending story about hope and change. I said, you giving me the fucking Obama argument?
That's the part that I did see. I did see that when I think you had him, and BGS up there. Yeah.
Anyway.
But all right. Hood server, you got anything else on what we had right here, on what was up right here? Anything else on that? No, negative. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We may revisit this. We just may have to just do a series. We just gonna comb through every page of blackdemographics.com and talk about it.
I'm still looking. It's deep.
Yeah, but we 3 hours in. I'm gonna wrap this up. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm dropping the link right there to Mike and Vince Perkins. We just was talking about the how many black men have kids. It was thrown out there 75%, and then it got talked down to 58%. He's saying that is not that it was wrong what was presented on the show yesterday. It was thrown out there by Jada LaRue. So I just I wasn't able to pull the stuff out of my back pocket to refute it right then and there at the moment. So I was like, we're going to put a pin in it. And so, but Mike was listening, and he did the show. He premiering it right now. So he's debunking what she said. Supposedly, I haven't seen it yet. So I'm not just going to give him the W, and I haven't seen it, but there's the link to it. So y'all take that link right there. Go check that out. Let that be your exit walking out of the door. Don't just click off the show. Go watch that show and see if he gets it right see if he gets it right with the data, because he did a premiere on that. He emailed me about it, so hopefully he got it. Let's go check it out. Let's go check it out.
One thing, real quick, Bernard.
Go ahead.
Real quick. One thing I just thought about from that graph that you go back and look at it yourself, but actually compared to the Asian and the Latino population, Black men rank number 3. It is Hispanics, it is Asians, it is Black men, then it is white men. As far as that high end of who's having the most kids at 40 and up, we aren't even the top 2. So if you think about it, maybe we should make more children. We should have more families. We should reassess this strategy.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but all right. I'm just, not the way we doing it. Not the way homeboy that I was talking about on the show. Making more kids. You know how some brothers
not him.
They know how some brothers like to make more kids, more families. They call those families in some circles. Yeah. But anyway, we about to get up out of here. Make sure. Okay, well, hold on. Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah. So you guys were showing that the breakdown of the single people with their incomes. I was going to speak to the fact of you're showing like the people between the $20,000 and $50,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, considering Metro Detroit has a 30% Black population, that for my rentals that run between $900 and $1,300, I do not see Black couples coming to get housing, but I see white, Asian, foreigners. I see those coming to get that price point of rental property. But if I get a Black person, it will be a Black female, typically with the housing voucher of some sort. But I don't take housing vouchers, so I deny them.
All right. Yeah, we are getting up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody who either liked, shared,
I just love how he said, "I deny them." Can you say that again?
Hey, that's how it is, man. You build your shit up. You in that position of power to say yay or nay. It just is what it is. That's how it goes.
What power is, right?
Exactly.
True power is.
Exactly. But all right, y'all go check out Mike and Vince Perkins video. Go check out Mike and Vince Perkins. It's called Mike and Vince Perkins, but only one I ever see is Mike. I don't know if the Perkins, I don't know if Vince even exists. I don't know, that's his imaginary friend. But anyway, but go check out Mike doing a breakdown over there. So but either way it go, thank you everybody who supported the stream in any way, shape or form. Shout out to Mr. C who sent the Cash App. I always forget to shout out to Cash Apps. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace. We